Hello, everyone. I am Portia, the founder and owner of Black Girl Health. And it's a pleasure to be here once again. Today, we are bringing you Coping with COVID. Last time, we brought you a series of virtual workshops dealing with mental health. We thought the Housing Authority, DC Housing Authority, thought that it was really important to really focus in and hone in on how COVID is impacting each and every one of you. So it is a pleasure to partner with the DC Housing Authority again, Black Girl Health Foundation. The workshops that we have prepared for you today include exercising, through COVID, also nourish your mind, focusing on the foods that you can eat to build your immunity when it comes to COVID, and quarantine therapy. We've all, hey, we're in the house, or we're not doing the things that we usually do outdoors, or maybe we're working from home, and instead of getting outdoors and going to work, and it's driving us crazy. So we have some great experts. We have some great BGH experts to give you the resources that you need, to give you the knowledge that you may not have heard today. So without further ado, we want to start off this virtual series about COVID with talking to no other than the executive director, Mr. Tyrone Garrett, about how COVID is actually affecting you personally. Mr. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us today. That one question, it's affecting us all, you as well.
Wow, thank you for having us. I just want to say again, with Black Girl Health, the DCHA truly appreciates the opportunity to partner with you. We think this is very important, not only to our community, but the community as a whole across the district. So thank you for having us again.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Mr. Garrett, just as I was just saying about COVID has affected us all personally, and you're not immune to it. Right.
No, not at all.
I just want to hear, just on a personal level, what have you been through?
Oh, wow. All the same emotions that everyone else. In the beginning, it was new and unique to me. Had never experienced anything like this before. So I thought it was, going to pass. I think everyone thought it was not going to last this long. And as it started to draw out, you started to figure out, okay, I need to figure out what am I going to do with myself, since we can't move around as much as we were doing in the past. So for me, it was an opportunity to actually reflect and sometimes take a step back and think about who I am as a person,
Sure.
Because it things kind of slowed down just a little bit for a few seconds. I think, and that was important for me as an executive director of the Housing Authority. We go through so much on a daily basis. Sometimes we don't take an opportunity to deal with ourselves, and this allowed me that chance.
Absolutely. And as the leader, the person in charge of operating, such a huge entity. All thousands of residents that, you're serving, to make sure that their, quality of life is not affected as much. How would you say this COVID has, affected your operations in the way that you lead?
It has affected our operations. In terms of my leadership, I want to say that I've, to interact with my staff, you had to figure out different ways. So use of WebEx and other technology.
Sure.
to interact with your team and also the public as a whole, your residents. We've been using that kind of opportunity to use virtual platforms to engage. But for me as a leader, what it allowed me to do is be a little more vulnerable in terms of my interaction with my staff. Because they were going through so much. And now I'm trying to lead not only a staff and worry about their concerns at home because they're at home with their children and their families, but then we have to have the concern of keeping up the pace and providing the service to our residents at the same time. So figuring out how to juggle that, keep morale up, but also keep us enthusiastic enough to do the job on a daily basis. It can be difficult. So, we tried to do innovative things like the song of the week or, tell a joke during a staff meeting. We started out in that vein. We were trying all sorts of things. I was at least trying to keep morale up. But then it started to become the norm for us. And that's where we are now. It's almost like this is the daily routine of remote work. Even though we have over 25% of our staff coming in to various locations on the office locations or on the sites, we're still working remotely. And now we're using that as the basis to just let's pick up the pace. Let's do what we do on a daily basis to provide the services to our residents as if nothing has ever happened.
Sure.
And that's where we are now. I think we're operating more like about 95% operational components of the agency overall, and we're able to just move through the day just as we normally would. I think that's important to stress because we did make some changes to policies and different things like that, but really took us to a point of where we could become more of an efficient agency based on the timeframes that we were using and the tools that we had at our disposal. I think it's done a great deal for us.
I kind of want to piggyback off of, you were saying that you try to throw little jokes here and kind of lighten the mood up, when you're in meetings and different things like that. But, how do you, and I know webinar and is how you guys are kind of trying to stay connected, but not having that, a tangible experience with people where you're seeing them and, all the time, seeing your residents, connecting with them, seeing your employees in person, that sort of thing. How has that, has that affected though? I mean, has that been a challenge and kind of continuing to do the same, operations business as you need to do them and, work efficiently as you need to do and get things done because there isn't that kind of tangible interaction?
In the beginning, I think it was. I think we worried about, were we going to be able to be an efficient organization and run smoothly with all the things that were going on. But we've gotten used to using WebEx and other platforms to interact with one another. Now, I'll be honest with you, we don't want to see one another on a daily basis half the time. We just want to get down to the situation where, man, meeting after meeting after meeting and no break. You go right from a meeting. There is no lunch,
right.
period or anything like that. So what I would tell my staff, sometimes I would send out just a general note to the team and just say, hey, push back from the desk, push back from the computer, go outside, take a breath.
Right.
Take an hour, go out and go for a walk. In fact, you know what? Let's shut down a little early today and everybody get out because it's nice outside. And I would do things like that. And I continue to do those just to keep everyone going. And I'm guilty of that. They would have me going meeting to meeting to meeting. And I would just push back and say, look, I'm going to go for a run for a half an hour. I'll be back in about 40 minutes. And I would just get up from the desk, go outside and run. So, and that led us into one of the things that we did going into our season of giving, which is I did a wellness challenge. So for the month of October, I ran every single day. I did a 5K every single day to help raise funding for the holiday season.
Nice.
And that was my wellness, right? That's the way I tried to cope with, the work environment that we were in, but also with the pandemic at the same time. And I was talking about reflection and being vulnerable. Every day I would send thoughts to my staff, the whole entire agency, via email of how I felt that particular day. And they could be talking about, leadership of the organization and us sticking together as a team through all of this, or it could just have been just me mentally detoxing, so to speak. Physically and mentally letting some thoughts out in my head. And I don't normally do that. I was normally the kind of individual, that held anything and everything on the inside, even if I was having a bad day. This gave me the opportunity to let it go. And let my staff know that I am human, going through the same things that they're going through. And I think I'm hoping that touched them.
And that's so
position.
I love that you said that because it's so important when morale is kind of, it could be low just across the country, right? I mean, just dealing with quarantine. It's important that, it's good that you are kind of, bringing that energy and, and showing that, making kind of light. And so people feel comfortable and at ease and, in spite of COVID and quarantine and stuff, they feel great. They feel great coming to work. They feel great, continuing doing what they do best. And that's serving the residents of the housing authority. So that is so amazing that, that you're doing that.
It was some days it was a good day and a bad day, and I let everybody know what it was. Right, I let them know what my power song of the day was, and it might have been a song that people wouldn't have necessarily thought I would listen to, but it gave them some levity throughout their day and throughout the month of October to let them know that we're a team and we're striving to, because we can't have a bad day, right? We serve over 25,000 residents within the district. We can't have an off day. We always have to be on top of our game, and I thought that was important to be able to share that with the staff. So, and they're doing a great job. I can publicly say my team at DCHA is doing an outstanding job in serving the residents and the community as a whole. So we'll figure out a way to continue to do that.
I was going to ask you, how do you feel that you've evolved kind of through all this, and how has that kind of influenced your policies and the different things and the actions that you're taking now that we're in the midst of this?
Use of virtual, one example might be virtual inspection versus physically going out to a particular unit. We're doing virtual interaction and inspections of units, which makes it a lot quicker versus having to drive throughout the district on a daily basis to try and get inspections at units done. So that was one policy that we modified and changed. Some other policies were being a little more strict about who comes into a particular senior building, because we know that's our vulnerable population. So that was a policy that not everybody agreed with and not everybody was excited about, but it was a step that we thought we needed to take because we wanted to protect our residents, our seniors especially, from the causes of the pandemic and COVID-19. We didn't want to have that exposure to them. So it varies depending upon the circumstances. I know a lot of people are feeling as though the pandemic has been lifted here in DC, and they want to physically get out and move out a little bit more. I'm holding back the reins about what our return to work actually looks like for our employees coming back, and different ways to deal with that. And I think the big thing is understanding and noticing that remote work can work. It can be a good function for an agency if it's utilized and viewed in the right manner. And I think that's something that we are really working on to try to perfect, so that if it's a shared workspace, we've been able to do a couple of modifications within our building actually that allows for shared space, a customer solution center for our residents who want to come in and deal with things. They can do it remotely using a kiosk versus having to physically stand in front of an employee or staff person. So they can come into our building, but it's a remote center where they can interact via virtual platforms such as WebEx and go over whatever their issue is, paying their rent, doing a renewal or whatever it may be. So, I'm trying to protect, because I'm trying to protect everyone now. I'm trying to protect the staff and also trying to keep my residents safe at the same time. So we've created a lot of different initiatives and tools to be able to do that. And we're not perfect by any means. We're trying to keep pace with everyone else, but I think it's a great opportunity. It ends up, you take a bad situation and turn it into a great opportunity. And I think we've been able to do that with the pandemic.
Awesome. Mr. Garrett, it is absolutely a pleasure again to be able to talk to you and be able to partner in this way and give your residents something that is just so needed, during this time. So thank you so much for, having us again and being able to do this for your residents.
Yeah, I appreciate everything that you do for us.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye. All right. When we get right back, we will be in exercising through COVID with Miss Maritha Gums. So stay with us.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Garrett, Executive Director and CEO of the District of Columbia Housing Authority. We're always looking for new ways to enhance services for our residents and stakeholders. Today, I'm excited to give you a preview of our new Customer Solution Center at our 1133 North Capitol Street headquarters. Residents and stakeholders will be able to make appointments to visit our center for safe and socially distanced meetings with their housing specialists and other DCHA staff. Learn more about our available services by visiting www.dchousing.org or by calling 202-535-1000.
Sometimes we need that extra encouragement, we need support, and Black Girl Health is a movement.
Oh, I love getting all the emails with the recipes and now the new workout videos that we get daily. I now get CrossFit videos right to my email. So that means that it holds me accountable and I have something to do every day.
I work out at Pies Fitness Yoga Studio, and so it just helps to bring more people into my class, know that I'm out there teaching yoga in the community.
Being a BGH member means connecting with other women, networking, and being a part of a movement.
I am Kim Nelson-Wright and I am Black Girl Health.
I'm Kimberly Perry, and I am Black Girl Health.
Sherelle Moore Tucker, and I am Black Girl Health.
Hello, my name is Monica Gums. I'm here to take you through a workout. I'm a certified fitness trainer and also a medical exercise specialist. Working out is a great way to help deal with any kind of stress you might be going through and really help with your mental health. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I want you to grab just some household items. They don't have to be the exact items I have here, but something like towels that you can slide across the floor with can be really helpful. If you have a heavier object, maybe like a jug of water, a carton like I have here, this is some coconut milk. And then if you have cans of food, these can be really helpful too. So just some ideas for some items there that you can use around the house. You don't have to worry about going out and buying anything. So other items you could use might be, if you have, sometimes I've had people use books, textbooks, or a pan, a heavy pan, that can work well too, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to start you guys off with a nice warm up. So what I want you to do, you're gonna go ahead and hinge from your hips, walk out, okay? You can drop those hips if you feel comfortable with that. If not, you can stay in a plank, okay? Then walk back, push those heels down, and come all the way back, okay? All right? I'm gonna move forward for you guys. We're just gonna go ahead and work through this. We're gonna do this a few times here. So just go ahead and hinge from your hips. Walk out, drop those hips. Okay, if you can, or you stay in a plank, and then you just drive your hips back. Try to push those heels down as much as you can so you get a nice stretch in those calves, and then walk back. Okay, nice stretch in the hamstrings here. And then we're gonna come back up. All right, so let's repeat this a few times. Push those hips back, heels down. And sometimes I like to hang out right here. Push my hips side to side, okay? Stand back up. Let's do this one more time. Drop those hips if you can, or you stay up in a plank. Push back, heels down, walk back. Sway those hips side to side. Come back up. Woo. All right. Let's do some hip circles. So we're gonna be right here. Here we are. All right, and let's go ahead. Let's step back into lunge. Now, when I do lunges, first of all, I like to have my feet hip width apart, okay? Next, I take that knee back. That knee comes underneath the hip, all right? And I'm leaning forward just a little bit. So I don't want to be all the way up here, but leaning forward just about 30 degrees, okay? And then what we're going to do, we're still in our warm-up phase. We're going to go ahead and reach to one side and then switch. Okay, get a nice stretch in there. Might feel that down in here a little bit. Maybe up your side. All right. Okay. So next what I want to do, we're actually going to get into the workout. If you have the cans of food, okay, you can also do this with no weight at all, okay? But if you have cans of food, you can go ahead and grab those cans of food. And we're going to do some more lunges. So you're going to step back, lift those cans up, open up, squeeze those shoulder blades together, okay? Obviously, you can do this with weights as well. All right? Squeeze those shoulder blades together. We're just going at our own pace here. We want to make sure we feel this in our glutes, okay? Whatever leg is forward, that's the glute that you want to feel it in. We just want to squeeze those shoulder blades together. And make sure we don't shrug up, okay? We don't want the tension up here. We want to aim to hit, we want to try to hit the middle, okay, or lower part of those shoulder blades together. That's what we want to focus on. Let's do a few more here. Let's count it down. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead. We're going to hold on to these weights. Let's actually do some push-ups. So let's put these cans just to the side. We're going to get on the floor. We're going to go ahead and do a push-up. And we're going to go to 5 push-ups, okay? So we'll do 5 push-ups, and then we'll come up onto our knees. We have our weights. We'll go ahead and do a curl and then a press. And we'll do 5 of these, okay? Then we'll go back down and we'll do 4 push-ups. And then we'll come back up, 4 curls and 4 presses. We'll repeat that until we get down to 1, okay? So these will count together. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On our knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we got 4 push-ups. 1, keeping that core engaged. 2, 3, 4. And I didn't mention it, but I will now. You can go down to your knees, okay? And do your push-ups like this. Try not to have, if you can manage it, try not to have your knees directly underneath your hips. Try to go ahead and start in a plank position and then drop your knees, okay? So you're at an angle, okay? If you can manage it, okay? If you have to do them like this, that's okay. But ideally, those knees are a little further back, okay? All right, so we got our 4 bicep curls and presses. So this is 1, 2, 3, 1 more, 4. got our 3 push-ups. 1, 2, 3. Back up. 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, down to 2. Here we go. 1, 2. And 1, 2. All right, last one. Here we go. 1. And 1. Good. All right. So now I'm going to grab my carton. Okay. You can grab a book. Okay. Try to grab something a little heavier for this if you have it. You're going to go ahead and squat down, press up, and rotate. Okay. Squat down, press up, and rotate the other way. Okay. So we're going to do this at our own pace. Okay. So let's aim to get anywhere between 10 to 16, but we want to end on an even number, so we make sure we get both sides evenly, okay? So here we go. At your own pace, we're going for anywhere between 10 to 16 reps of this. Make sure you get a nice good squat, so you're working those glutes. Then you press up and you rotate. I'm rotating off of that back foot. Okay. Pressing up at an angle. So I'm getting my glutes, I'm getting my obliques, my core, and my chest too. Here we go. And breathe through it nice and steady. And maybe that weight's a little too light and you want to make it a little more intense. So instead of pressing up at an angle, you're going to push straight. Okay? It's going to make you use those shoulders a little more too. All right? So we got a couple options there. Straight or at an angle. And remember, when you're squatting, you always want to drive those hips back. Okay, don't let those knees come forward. That's when you get those quads burning. But we want to use our glutes. We don't want any knee issues. We want to make sure those glutes are strong. We want to drive back into those hips. Use those glutes. Take the pressure off of our knees. Okay? Even if that means you're not going as deep, that's okay. Maybe you're just right here. That's perfectly fine. Here we go. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So let's grab our cans or our weights, whatever we have. We're going to go back. We're going to repeat these last 3 exercises again, okay? Whew. So we're going to breathe. All right, here we go. So remember, feet are hip width apart. You step back, that knee comes right underneath the hip. I'm leaning forward about 30 degrees. Arms up, open up, squeeze those shoulder blades together, okay? And we're switching back and forth from one leg to the other. I'm not going to count these either, but we're going to go at our own pace. Let's go for 10 to 16 reps. Just make sure you get both sides evenly. So end on the opposite leg of the one you started on, okay? Squeeze those shoulder blades together. And don't let those shoulders shrug. Keep those shoulders down. We're trying to hit the middle, towards the bottom, mid to low part of those shoulder blades. That's what we're focusing on, okay? All right. Hopefully that sweat's starting to drip just a little bit. Here we go. How about 10 more seconds? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. All right. Let's get back down to our push-ups. Remember, we're doing 5 push-ups, 5 curls and presses, then 4, 3, 2, 1. Of course, you can do a modified push-up if needed. So remember, for the modified, you're here. Bring those knees down and push up. Okay, if you need to bring those knees forward a little more, that's okay. Also, you may, if you're doing the push-ups on your knees, you may want to go ahead and roll up your mat so you have a little padding, so you can do that too, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Here we go. 5 push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And you got 5 curls and presses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And let's go to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Here we are, 4 curls and presses. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. 3 push-ups. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. 3 curls and presses. 1, 2, and 3. All right. We're down to 2. We're almost there. 1, 2. All right. 1 and 2. All right, last one, you guys. Last one. We'll stick it through. Come on, let's go. 1 and 1. All right. So we're back on our feet. We're grabbing that heavier weight. Maybe we got a book. Maybe you have a carton, whatever you have. You're gonna have it right here at your chest. Squat down, press up, okay? Remember, if that weight isn't as heavy as you would like it to be, instead of pressing up at an angle, you can press directly from your chest, okay? Right there. Or at an angle, up to you. Make sure you get that squat in. Don't cheat me on that squat, that's the best part. Okay? You want to focus on using those glutes for your squat. Make sure you're pushing through the heels. Okay? Focusing on those glutes. We want strong glutes. Let's go 10 seconds here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. All right, so next, we're gonna grab those cans, okay? Or if you have weights or just 2 items, you wanna keep them about the same weight, okay? So whether you use books, maybe you have jugs of water, just make sure they're about the same weight, okay? So what we want to do, feet are going to be hip width apart. You're going to bend your knees, okay? A slight bend. I don't want them all the way here. Just think about unlocking your knees, okay? So you unlock your knees. You drive your hips back, okay? Notice that my bottom is not going down, though. Keep that bottom up. You drive those hips back. You might get a nice stretch in those hamstrings. You come as close to parallel to the floor as you can, okay? So maybe you're stopping here. Maybe you're able to come closer to here, okay? That's okay, as long as you keep that core engaged, okay? Nice flat back. So you're here. You're gonna go ahead and row, all right? And if that weight doesn't feel as heavy as you'd like it, you can go ahead and press back and get those triceps, okay? Bring it back here. Keep those shoulder blades squeezed. Drive back up. And use those glutes to drive back up, okay? So we're getting core. We're getting glutes. We're getting hamstrings, all right? We're getting your back. Triceps if you're doing the tricep kickback. So a lot is going on with this exercise, okay? Here we go again. And we'll get, let's do roughly about 15 of these. You can also go at your own pace. Bend those knees, drive those hips back, row, kick back if you can. Keep those shoulder blades squeezed. Drive back up, focusing on those glutes. And relax. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. There we go. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. There we go. Breathe through this. Focus on those glutes. Keep that core engaged. Try not to let your back round. Keep those shoulders back. There we go. Good. All right, you guys. I'm going to count these last three with you, okay? 1, 2, and 3. There we go. All right, so actually, I'm going to keep these. And what I'm going to do, actually scratch that. I am going to use my carton. So I want you to also grab just one item, okay? So you're going to keep one item on one side. Feet are going to be hip width apart. And what I want you to do is you're going to step back with the opposite leg. Knee comes underneath the hip. I'm leaning forward about 30 degrees. And then I'm going to go ahead and drive up to balance. All right? Step back. Drive up to balance. All right? This glute's doing a whole lot of work. It's helping me balance, and it's helping me with that lunge, okay? These we're gonna count out together. Let's go ahead and do 15 on one side, 15 on the other. Here we go. Feet are hip width apart. Step back. Here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, let's do the other side. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, one more, 15. All right. So let's get down on the floor. We're going to go ahead and do a plank. So we're going to be right here. We're going to hold that plank. Okay? And while we're holding that plank, you're just going to go ahead and turn your hips just a tad. Turn them another way, just a tad. We're going to stay right in here, okay? Just a little baby turn. If you need to just hold it, that's perfectly fine as well. We're going to do little baby turns. We're not going to hold it for too much longer. Ten seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Woo! All right. All right, let's get back on our feet. We're gonna grab these cans, okay? Feet are gonna be hip width apart. So we're back to our rows with our deadlift, okay? And we're adding that tricep extension at the end if our weights are a little too light, okay? Just gonna kind of intensify the exercise a bit. So again, and this is one of the hardest exercises to teach, but I think it's an important one. I think it's one that you can do anywhere you're at. There's a lot of different items you can use. So it's worth us doing today. So here we go. Feet are hip width apart, all right? Just like so, okay? You're gonna go ahead, slight bend in those knees. You're gonna drive those hips back, keeping that core engaged, taking your head with you, okay? You don't want your head up here. Tuck that chin. You come down so that you're as close to parallel with the floor as you can. So maybe you're stopping here. Maybe you're able to get down here. Maybe you're stopping here, okay? Any of those are okay. I want you to pay attention to where your body is at, okay? Very important. So let's go all the way through this. I'm here. I come down. I row, okay? I do my tricep kickback if I can. I bring it back here, keeping those shoulder blades squeezed, and then I drive back up, focusing on those glutes. All right? At your own pace with these, we're gonna go for 10 to 16. All right? I like to sometimes let folks go at their own pace, okay? Because I don't want you to rush through the exercise, okay? We're not all on the same level, and that's okay. But what's important is that we really focus on getting what we're supposed to get out of the exercise, and we're not rushing through and getting sloppy, okay? So take your time as you need to, all right? If you want to go a little faster, that's fine too. Just make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. There we go. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. And I really like working on the back and the glutes. And the reason being is that a lot of us are spending a lot of time in front of the computer and we're hunched over, our shoulders are rounded forward, and our posture is really suffering because of it. And if we're here all the time, then our lower back ends up hurting. So, really getting that back stronger. We're constantly moving forward. So if we can do something to move back, like a row, okay, that's gonna help counter that and have our body feeling a lot better. I also like focusing on the glutes because the glutes are key to just about any movement. For one, they help support the core, and they help support the core. They're key to every movement. Those are big things, honestly. If you have low back pain, sometimes those glutes just aren't strong enough. You need to work on those glutes. Okay, so a lot goes on there. They're important. You want to be able to sit and stand. Okay, not have any problem there. All right. If you're sitting and standing, you can squat. Okay, keep that in mind. It's a very functional and necessary movement. And as you can see, even though we're not squatting right now, we're doing deadlifts, we still got to power through those glutes. All right, let's do 3 more here. I'm gonna count with you guys. Here we go. Got that row, tricep kick back. Hold those shoulder blades together. There's 1. 2. And 3. All right, good work. Okay, so we got those in. Let's grab our carton of milk, jug of water, book, whatever we have. We just want 1 item for these, okay? Feet are hip width apart. Feet are hip width apart. You're gonna step back, bring that knee underneath the hip, okay? Make sure you're not pushing forward. Make sure you're sitting back, getting that glute, driving up to balance, okay? That's 1. We're gonna do 15 of these on one side, and then we'll do 15 on the other side. Here's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, we're gonna switch to the other side. Here we go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 1 more, 15. All right, hopefully that was a lot of glutes. Let's get down into our plank. Here we are. And remember, with our plank today, if we can If we can manage it, okay, we're doing a slight little tilt, okay, getting those obliques kicked in a bit too, okay? If you can't manage it, that's perfectly fine. Always pay attention to your body. You can just hold the plank, okay? So it's up to you. But here we go. We're not gonna hold this for too long, all right? Little tilt. Or you're just holding, okay? Focusing on those abs. We can also modify this if we need to by bringing those knees down, okay? And holding it here, that's perfectly fine too. And it's a small tilt. We're not trying to tilt too much today. Just a little tap. Little turn. 10 seconds here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So we're gonna do some more lunges, but this time we're gonna do some side lunges. So you're gonna hold it on one side, okay? I want you to keep your feet lined up with one another. You're gonna step out to the side, but my feet are lined up with one another, and I want you to keep your knee in line with your hip. So I don't want your leg out here, okay? I want to keep your knee in line with your hip, all right? I'm gonna show you that from a lateral view. I want you to drive those hips back. What I don't want is you come in this way. Drive those hips back. Try not to collapse too much, okay? You're gonna be leaning forward a little bit, that's okay. I just don't want you all the way down here, okay? So right about here. And then you're gonna drive up to balance if you can, but don't worry about the balance. If you've already been having trouble with balance, not a problem. You can always go here, and then just come right back in, okay? Balance if you can. All right, so here we go. Step out, knee in line with the hip, drive those hips back, drive up. That's 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're gonna do 15, okay? Here we go. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. Let's do the other side. Here we go. Whoops, here we go. Switch the hand, switch what hand you're holding your weight in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, one more, 15. All right. So next, we're gonna get down on the floor. I didn't forget about these towels. So you're gonna grab your towels. If you have like a carpeted surface, you can use something like paperback books or paper plates, cardboard, pieces of cardboard can work well too. But if that's not an option, I'm gonna give you an alternative so that you won't need, that won't matter what surface you're on or what you're using, and you actually won't need to use anything other than yourself. So No worries if you don't have towels that you want dragged across your floor. All right, so you're gonna be right here, plank position, okay? If you have the towels, you're gonna go ahead and pull one in, push out, and then push out to the side. I'm gonna show you what that looks like on the other leg. Here, push out to the side, okay? Now, of course, you can do these without towels. So without towels, you're here. You tuck in, out, and out. In, and out, okay? All right, so either or is an option. All right, let's time these. Let's do 30 seconds with these. I'm gonna get that on the clock for you guys. And we're gonna do 30 seconds, exactly. Okay, because nobody is gonna be able to say, at least not on this one, nobody's gonna be able to say, oh, we did it too long. All right, you guys are ready? All right, here we go, 30 seconds, okay? In and out to the side, in and out to the side, okay? There we go. First 10 seconds are down. Keep it going. Ooh, 30 seconds. All right. All right, you guys. So let's go back and do those side lunges again. So we're gonna grab our heavy weight that we had. Okay. We're gonna step out, drive those hips back, drive up. Okay, that's one. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, one more, 15. All right, let's get the other side in. Here we go. Whoops, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost there, 12, 13, 14, one more, 15. All right. Before we go back to those ab tucks, I want some, I like to call them starfish. You're gonna go ahead and squat down, and then you're gonna hop up, okay? You can also squat down and come up, okay? So you don't have to do the hop, all right? Pay attention to your own body, get that heart rate up, work up some more sweat. Here we go. Here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Woo. All right. Let's get back on the floor. your towels if you have them. I'm gonna put 30 seconds on the clock again for us. Okay? Here we go. All right. And we're doing a high plank. Okay, whether you're doing it with or without towels. You want to do a high plank so you're on your palms. All right. Here we go. Tuck in, out to the side. Tuck in, out to the side. Whew. And that knee just comes underneath the hip, not any further than that. Make that core work. Okay, nice flat back. We're almost there, you guys. Whew. All right. Okay, so we're gonna do one more set of jumping jacks here again. Starfish jumping jacks. All right. So here we go. Whew. Squat down, hop up. Remember, you don't have to hop, okay? You'll be right here, and then come up, okay? Pay attention to where your body's at. Here we go. Woo. Whew. Here we go. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. We got a few more minutes left. Let's get on the floor. There's a few different floor exercises I want to do with you guys to kind of bring it back down, okay? But still keep working. So let's do this. Let's go ahead. Actually, I'm gonna grab my carton again, and I'm gonna get on my back. Legs up 90 degrees. Okay, make sure they're not tucked in too close. Keep them out. Make sure they're your feet and your legs are hip width apart. All right. My arms are gonna stay straight. I'm gonna crunch up, and then I'm gonna pretend like I'm driving a car. And I'm turning to the right, sharp turn, and then sharp turn to the left. Woo! And back down. All right? Focus on using those abs while you're doing it, okay? Really focus on those abs. So you're kind of twisting. It's almost as if you're a wound up toy. Somebody's winding you up from your tummy, okay? So you get a nice little twist on both of those, all right? All right, here we go. So, up. Woo. There's one. I'm gonna count these with you guys, all right? But we're not gonna do them too fast. So that's one. Up again. 2. And we're gonna do 15 of these. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Let you guys breathe for a second. I know it's getting intense, okay? And I'm making you guys count these with me. So here we go. Let's go on to 9. 9. Whew. 10. And I will say, if you guys need to, if you're getting tired at this point and want to keep your legs down, that's fine too. Okay. All right. Or you can keep your legs up. Okay. I think this is 12. 13. 2 more. 14. One more. 15. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and flip over and use these hands again, okay? You don't want anything too heavy for this. This can be a little more intense. You're gonna be face down, arms at your sides, okay? Keep your arms straight, face down. And you're gonna go ahead and come up, lift your chest off of the floor, pull your arms back, okay? Just a little past your body, maybe just even in line with your body. You don't wanna go too far. You don't wanna swing them all the way back. So just right about here, okay? Use those glutes to lift your legs up, okay? And legs stay straight and back down, okay? You don't need to hold it, all right? So you're just actually gonna go here and back down, all right? Let's count these together too, okay? So we're almost done, you guys. We're gonna do these exercises back to back, and we'll wrap it up with that, okay? So here we are. 1, 2, and keep your face facing down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one more, 10, okay? So that was core, glutes, and lats, okay? So working the back again, but getting a little bit lower in the back, all right? Right below the shoulder blades there. All right, so we're gonna flip back over. We're gonna do our dead bugs, okay? With a twist. All right, here we are. Let's do 15 of these. We're gonna do them together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and don't worry if you don't get to 15, that's okay. 11, we're always paying attention to our own body, okay? 12, 13, 14, one more, 15. All right, let's get these superwomans in. Got a couple more minutes here. It's gonna be our last exercise. Okay, let's make it count. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one more, 10. Woo! Thank you guys so much for joining me today. You can find more classes like this if you go to my website, fight2be50dc.com, and you can go ahead and join me. I can teach you more about getting those glutes to fire. If they weren't firing today, there are some great tricks that we can go over to help you with that. Some great exercises that help activate those glutes. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Just look up Fight to Be Fit DC. That's fight, number 2, letter B, Fit DC. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great day.
Hopefully you can hear me. Marita, you were amazing. I just wanted to, before you left, I mean, the carts, the food cans, I mean, so creative and using different stuff in your home, especially, you know, when we talk about staying active during COVID, you know, people are not going outside maybe to get equipment. You can find these things in your pantry or in your, you know, in your cabinets, and you can use that to provide intensity for you so you can get that workout. Great idea.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. There's plenty of things that you can use around your house. Be creative, whatever you have to use weight. Absolutely, absolutely. We didn't get into bands, but bands are something very portable too. Something that can be easier to purchase than weights at times. So lots of options. You can get a great workout and just at home using whatever you have.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Marita.
Hi, thank you for joining me. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I just absolutely love my BGH team. Again, if you were not with us when we started, I am the founder and owner of Black Girl Health. It's an organization geared to helping women of color make informed decisions about their health. We have, again, partnered with the DC Housing Authority to bring you these live streaming workshops. Before, not too long ago, we did something on mental health, a workshop series. This time we are focusing on COVID and trying to help you cope through COVID. So that was Marita Gums. She did a 45-minute exercise on how you can stay active during COVID, because that's very, very important. I do want to encourage everyone to comment. We want to hear from you. People, we want to know, how are you liking the workshops? If you have any comments, if you have any questions, coming up, we have quarantine therapy with Montrella Cowan, and she is an amazing therapist in the DC area. And feel free, don't hold back. Ask questions. We'll pop them up. She will see them. She will see them. She will, you know, get to your questions. This is the time to get free advice. If you hear me, free advice. But yes, stay with us. We'll be right back with quarantine therapy with Montrella Cowan.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Garrett, Executive Director and CEO of the District of Columbia Housing Authority. We're always looking for new ways to enhance services for our residents and stakeholders. Today, I'm excited to give you a preview of our new Customer Solutions Center at our 1133 North Capitol Street headquarters. Residents and stakeholders will be able to make appointments to visit our center for safe and socially distanced meetings with their housing specialists and other DCHA staff. Learn more about our available services by visiting www.dchousing.org or by calling 202-535-1000.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I hope y'all had a really good workout. Take a deep breath. My name is Montrella Cowan, and I am a licensed therapist. And yes, I want this today to be very engaging. Please do take advantage. Ask me any questions you want, because we got a lot going on in the world. Wouldn't you agree? So at Affinity Health Affairs, we basically help people come from the darkness and distress into the light of healing and happiness through actionable, practical tools. We help individuals, teenagers, families, and couples. So let's get the PowerPoint up. Awesome. So coping through a health crisis, which we all are dealing with, hashtag your mental health matters. It's very important. We just got through working out physically, but it's also important that we work out mentally and spiritually. Health is really a holistic thing, a holistic experience. Next slide, please. I have a quote here from Dr. King. He says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." And I think we all can agree we are in that time right now. And I know he wrote this in 1963, but it seems so present. And that's what's so real about the truth. It's like a timeless thing. Next slide, please. Today, we're going to briefly go over facts and concepts. Why, in the first place, why would we even talk about quarantine therapy or mental health? We're going to look at causes and effects of it. Especially in minority communities, oftentimes people really feel like what we're dealing with is normal, and a lot of it is not. We're going to self-assess. I'm very practical, so I like to engage my clients, and I want you to really get the most out of today. And then we'll eventually review techniques, something to walk away with, because I do believe that, just like you have an umbrella for the rain, I like to provide tools that you can actually use in real life. So what are the facts? Can we make the slide bigger? Thank you. What are the facts on mental health in the USA? A recent study that was done by CDC in 2020, August 2020, found that 40%, or in other words, 4 out of every 10 people were struggling with mental health due to COVID, due to the pandemic, and for all the reasons that we know, right? Social isolation, a change, our new norm, all of the things we're dealing with. Distance learning, that's a big one, especially for you parents out there. I know I'm a parent, and it's a lot going back to algebra. Also, the National Alliance for Mental Illness found that 1 in 5, this is pre-COVID, just in general, 1 in 5 people do struggle with mental health issues. Okay, so this is a very important topic. There's a lot of stigma related to mental health. Keyword is health, okay, with that, but for good reason. Overdiagnosis, misdiagnosis, and many things. People don't want to be perceived as crazy. But in fact, as you can see, 1 in 5. So if there's a household of, say, 6 people, which in a lot of cases there are, because we have 3, sometimes 2 and 3 generations in a household with children, parents, grandparents, etc. We could have 2 or more in the household dealing with this, okay? 40 plus million people on an annual basis, again, pre-COVID, suffer from anxiety. That is the leading cause of mental health issues, is anxiety. And again, we kind of normalize this. We think, stress is like normal, and it's not. And then on top of that, there's an additional 17 million people who suffer from depression annually, again, pre-COVID. So all COVID has done is exacerbated this, right? For those who already had mental health challenges, but then in addition to people who may not have had in the past. Depression and suicide are ranked as a leading cause of death among men, okay? But yet men, right, they're less likely to seek help than women. And again, it goes with culture and, stereotypes and people not wanting to feel like they're weak or vulnerable when you reach out for help. But I will tell you, as a health practitioner, as a licensed therapist, that's one of the most proactive and healthy steps one can take is to reach out for help. We all need help from time to time. What we find in the practice is that it's the little things, the little irritants that build up, and then boom, we're in a crisis mode. So specific to African Americans, 20% are more likely to have serious psychological distress than whites are. And on top of that, suicide is the third leading cause of death among African American youth between the ages of 15 and 24 years old. So again, it's like we're dealing with so much. A lot of times we don't feel like we have anyone to talk to. Certainly, we don't feel like people can understand. And I'm going to get more into, some of the strategies we can use. But can you imagine, like, you think that there are no other options? And usually these are like short-term problems. And yet we're deciding on suicide. Our youth are deciding on suicide as a long-term solution. So a lot of it is getting the word out as well. Now, I'm big on making sure everyone's on the same page, because I can be saying health and wellness, I can be saying mental health, and you may have a whole different picture in your mind. But I like the holistic definition of health and wellness. This says wellness is an active process of becoming aware of and making choices toward a fulfilling and healthy life. Wellness is more than being free from illness. It's a dynamic process of change and growth, a state of complete physical, mental, spiritual, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. This is huge for a number of reasons. For one thing, what it's saying is this is a continuous process. It never ends. And, I like to tell my clients oftentimes when they're complaining, because like I said, there are sometimes 2 and 3 generations in a household, and they can't understand why their mama or papa don't want to eat vegan. They made it this far on their pork or whatever they're eating. And so, but part of that is because when you're over 65, you're at a different stage of development versus when you are in your 20s or 30s or 40s. So it's very important to just recognize that, as spiritual beings, we want to continue to grow. We want to continue to expand. And when we feel stuck, like we've hit a glass ceiling, whether that be in work, whether that be in our relationships, that's the big area. If we feel stuck, that's when we're not happy. And so just know that reaching out for help or taking proactive choices to do better, to have more, to expand is all natural and healthy. I know I do it. I hope you do too. Next slide, please. So now I want you to assess yourself, because a wise person once said, you can't know where you're going unless you know where you are. And this is an opportunity for you to really be honest and candid with you. No one will see your results. I'd love for you to share in the chat if you'd like to, but I want you to look at these 5 areas of your life. I want you to have a pen and paper. So if you didn't have a pen and paper, please, grab one real quick. Take 30 seconds to grab a pen and paper. Now, I want to break these down for you as I have you to assess how you're doing in life. First of all, health and wellness. This is more like at the individual level. Like, how are you doing mentally, physically, spiritually? They're interdependent. In other words, if you're doing well spiritually, say you're doing a whole lot, you helping the community, you real active in church and what have you, but then physically you broke down, you sick, you're not doing well, that's not okay. There's not one of these areas that's holier than the other. We need you to be healthy in order to help others, okay? So really look at it, 1 through 10. How are you doing? 1 being not doing well. I'm not surviving well in this area. 10 being I'm doing so well that there's not even room for improvement. So look at it, 1 through 10, and just rate yourself. Again, you don't have to share, but if you'd like to, I'd love to hear it in the chat. How are you doing in the area of health and wellness? 1 through 10. Write that down. Okay, I hope you've been honest with yourself. The next category is relationships. And with this includes your romantic relationships, if that exists for you. This includes children or parents, right? Friends. A lot of times we're taking on the stress and, oh my gosh, all kinds of stuff, trauma even sometimes from friends, because a lot of them dump everything on us. But today I'm going to teach you how to help with that. So really be honest, evaluate your relationships 1 through 10. How are you doing? 1, not so good, 10, doing so well, anything in the middle, right? Let's be honest about where we are today so that we can know where we're trying to get to. Career and business. Now that's different for everybody. But again, just evaluate yourself. That's looking at, a lot of times I find a lot of clients, you could be making six figures, you can be making a lot of money, but that doesn't mean you're happy. If the work culture is not nice, if, I see bullying all the time with supervisors and things like that. So, but you might love your job. I know I love my work. I love my business. I love helping people, but it was a process to get here. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm a hustler. I've tried everything, including being a taxi cab driver, y'all, in DC. I was like one of five and I was the youngest. So I get it, right? We got to make our money. We got to pay our bills. But at the same time, when we have a bad day at work, we bring it on home. And so really being honest, maybe you have an aspiration to get a certain job or to have a certain promotion or to start a certain business. Where are you 1 through 10? Then we have time and money freedom. This is when you can just, I know some people, they plan for a vacation and they never take it. Oh my goodness. Or they have all this leave and, it's like use it or lose it. And they really feel like if they take off, the building's going to fall down. We need this. We need this for our self-care. We need that balance. You might want to take family vacations. You might want to pay for everything. So time and money freedom looks different for everybody. Okay. And it depends on your values and all of that. But how are you doing when it comes to that? Because that's a nice way to live when you have a little bit of time and freedom. It's nice to be able to take some time off if you need it. And then finally, humankind. I'm a spiritual person. And no matter what your belief in terms of your religion, I respect all. I think truth is truth. But we all are here for a bigger purpose, to contribute to humanity, to make society a better place. How are you doing with that? Because if we're so caught up, if we're not doing well in these other areas, we may not have time for that. Okay, so how are you doing in that area 1 through 10? So would anybody like to share? Let's take health and wellness. Anybody want to share their numbers? What did you rate yourself and why? You can put it in the chat. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you were definitely honest with yourself. Okay. So we can continue. So what exactly is stress? Stress is a perceived demand or change. It's good or bad. That's the tricky one because we think, some of this stuff is only when it's bad. But in fact, look, we're here today, thanks to Mr. Garrett, the DCHA. And I will tell you, as you transition from maybe an apartment to a home, right? Like Tidia on the website who just purchased her new home. That's one of the biggest, most exciting events of life. It's also one of the most stressful, oh my goodness, taxing. Okay, and if you ever did it, you know what I'm talking about. So stress comes when there's not that balance, right? When our mental and physical and spiritual is kind of all out of whack and it's not a homeostasis, right? There's not a balance there. So it can be hitting the lottery as well as, something bad happening like COVID, for example. Then it also causes mental, physical, behavioral, and emotional responses. This is our body's way of reacting. We got to respond some kind of way. And just think about it. Maybe you know someone, maybe one of your family members, right? You could be so stressed out. This is sometimes causes strokes and things like that. Keita said, yes, stress. Yes. So I guess you like that definition, Keita, so you can relate to what I'm saying. So thank you for sharing that. And guess what? Stress can be hidden or obvious. A lot of times, again, especially for people of color, we have a high resilience. We hold it down. And then sometimes we don't want to appear weak. So we're so super strong and superwoman. I played that role before many times. However, we got to kind of really be real with ourselves. So, but we may not know. So, in our culture, it's like, how you doing? Fine, right? That's what we all say. But in fact, we might be having some stress. So in addition to that, the next slide shows you anxiety, which is an elevated level of stress. And if we can make that bigger, because I want to make sure that they get these definitions, please write them down, take notes. Now, I meant to say in the beginning, please, if you get 1 or 2 things from this, I'm happy. We don't need to take on 100 new things. We got enough changes going on, would you say? So just if you take 1 or 2 things away, and I think really, being honest about where you are today, And it may not all be bad. Some of it might be really good. I want you to recognize that as well in those 5 areas that we discussed. But take 1 or 2 things away and use them. So anxiety is that elevated level of stress. When we suppress something and hold it down and never really address it and don't have any outlets, it escalates. It gets worse. That's sometimes when the body breaks down and you be like, I don't know what's going on. The doctors be like, they don't know what's going on. Sometimes it's just our body like, hold, halt, stop. Okay, give it a minute. So anxiety is that persistent feeling of apprehension and dread. It's also caused by what we're dealing with now, for example, imminent event or uncertainty. Okay, anxiety is really about we anticipate the worst case scenario because imminent, it hasn't happened yet, but we're like, it's going to happen. It's going to be the worst case scenario. And in fact, it could turn out to be the opposite. So we work ourselves up, and obviously we're not in the present moment. We're so busy worried about the future, okay? It also can escalate into a disorder, right? So as a mental health professional, typically when you seek therapy, you do get a diagnosis. And one of the more common ones is like adjustment disorder with anxiety, for example. This can include panic attacks. A lot of people have been having panic attacks lately. And so I work a lot with clients to help them get in the present moment, right? To become present to everything that you have that's going well so that, we can start to dissolve these, compulsive behaviors and panic attacks. Next slide, please. Okay. So I really want to hear from you now, because now that I've defined stress and anxiety, I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Even if you don't, bless you, that's wonderful. And thank you, because then I know that you're modeling really healthy behaviors. But you may at least know someone, coworker, family member, child or parent, partner even, right? Put in the chat some of the ways, some of the effects of stress on you. Like I said, it could take a physical toll on us. This includes headaches and migraines, okay? It can cause us not to sleep. Many people cannot sleep. Their mind, scientists say that we have about 50,000 thoughts in a day. That's a lot. And a lot of times what we try to do when we, try to sit there and meditate, right? Which is seems like the impossible sometimes, depending on how stressed you are. We can't really quiet those thoughts. So I'm going to teach you a technique later about how to really deal with those thoughts. But we're up and we're thinking, and sometimes we have the same thoughts over and over again. Anybody want to tell about their effects? How are they experiencing stress? What are the effects of stress and anxiety? Put it in the chat, please. We also have sickness, physical illnesses sometimes. Sometimes it, come in a mode of, and this is especially related to women, but I know some of you men know about it, at least if you have women partners. Fibroids, for example. Other things, it'll just start coming out in another way if we don't address it, okay? Loss of focus. So you might be trying to get things done in school, at work, and you can't focus. Difficulty concentrating. Also, another effect would be isolation, which we're isolated. We're mandated to be isolated for the most part right now. And so can you imagine how that's just adding, compounding the stress? And so one of the effects is like we end up being so introverted that, we don't even want to deal with people. We're cutting people off in a time when we really need others, okay? And then that low energy. Now that's real. I know a lot of people were loving working from home right now, but then after a while, and I'm an introvert, so it was all good for me. But even I was like, oh my gosh, we need some sun. I need some fresh air. I need to see people, right? And so it became draining, just being in the computer all day long. That can really exhaust you. So getting up, getting dressed, looking pretty or handsome for those men out there, and just doing things to energize yourself, including the physical exercise that we just had an opportunity to, experience. So someone said, I can understand that. All right. Next. So again, this is just images, but it can cause issues with relationships. It can cause financial issues when we don't deal with this stuff, and it can put us in the hospital. Okay. Yep. Next. All right. So one of the ways I like to look at, the causes, because, it's important that we don't just try to treat symptoms, meaning run to the store and get an aspirin. That usually don't really address the core issue. So it's nice to know, well, where is this coming from anyway? What's the source of it? Okay. So I like to break it down into two areas, internal and external. Okay. So let's start with the thoughts. And I kind of mentioned that earlier. Someone says anxiety causes me to overthink everything, especially with COVID now. Yes. Thank you, Imani. And that ties right into thoughts, actually, because like I said, we're thinking machines. So if, for example, we're thinking the world is coming to an end, and I don't know if that's you, but a lot of people have that thought right now. So you're going to have a different experience in the world day to day from someone who's thinking, other in another way. So our thoughts are a huge contributor to our stress and anxiety. As I said, with anxiety and stress, we're anticipating the worst case scenario. It hasn't even happened yet. So getting a real hold on, and for me, it's like, I like to tell clients to just become aware of what your thoughts are actually. Just become aware of them. A lot of times we don't even know. We're so busy describing everything else. And I'm like, hold on, but what are you thinking, right? It could be, I'm disrespected. I don't matter, right? The world is coming to an end. So really dissect that. Take a moment and think about, what are 3 top thoughts you're having? What are 3 top thoughts that you are having over and over in your mind today? That's really key to start to see. Okay. So thank you, Imani. That was a really good point. Past experiences is another one, particularly with grief. If you've lost someone, I lost my mom in 2018. So with COVID and all the deaths, even if it wasn't your loved one directly, and especially if it was a loved one or someone you knew, or even a coworker or a family member of a coworker, this is going to trigger. This current climate is going to trigger that. Okay. So any past experiences, we're coming up on the holidays. So if you've had something that maybe a breakup or some bad situation in the past around this time, and then for people of color with the melanin in your skin, be careful, be mindful, because also we don't do as well without sun. So this seasonal depression kind of thing, that's all can be related to past experiences. And then now they're triggered again. Feelings or emotions, that's another huge one. That's why it's important that we do things we're never going to stay at a 10. I'm very practical here. I'm not saying we're going to be like, all the time, all day long. That's impossible. We got to deal with the real world. We got to deal with the kids. We got to cook. We got to clean. We got to do that grocery shopping, etc. So what I'm saying, though, is being mindful of your feelings and emotions, because they definitely can cause stress. Sometimes it's, and we'll get into the external factors of it. But if you're doing something that's not making you feel good internally, then it can definitely heighten or increase your stress. And then tests of faith, deeply held beliefs. Sometimes, especially during COVID, a lot of our worlds have been literally rocked. Okay. And that is going to cause stress, because now we start to doubt, and we start to ask why God, sometimes deaths are what we consider premature. So any test of faith or strongly held beliefs, that will cause anxiety and stress. So external, that comes with people, y'all. People can't live with them, can't live without them. All right. And so it could be, sometimes the dearest people, the people we hold closest to our hearts, can be the main sources of our stress and anxiety, unfortunately. So just, again, becoming aware of it, right? I'm not saying go cut everybody off, but at least if you know, you can start to work toward minimizing it or what have you. Our physical environment. I'm oftentimes telling my clients, clean up. We got to clean up. We need to be in an organized environment. And this is why you can't get nothing done in a messy environment. This is why when you go to certain places, you get a lot done. Just think about it, y'all. If your environment is messy and disorganized, you can't think, you can't get things done. If it's clean and organized, oh yeah, you're very productive. So a messy environment can cause a lot of stress. Even if you have to hire someone, I'm big on that. Look, if you don't feel like doing it, or if you don't want to do it, some people it's gotten to the point where they're embarrassed and they don't even want to pay somebody to do it. But I'm telling you, it's worth the investment. It's like peace of mind. Then your actions or current results. So, that ties back into faith, because faith is believing in the unseen. Just like fear is believing in the unseen. And so if we're looking and we're seeing hundreds of thousands of deaths and, all these numbers, these bad numbers going up, etc., it's hard to believe, that health is real or, things will get better because it's in spite of the appearance of things. So that's what I mean by actions or current results, And then finally, agnostic society. Unfortunately, to me, there's a big push to have people not believe in anything. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of the reasons that our youth are really struggling, y'all, because even though they haven't had their own, say, for example, bad experience with churches, they've bought into this thing about, oh, church is just for your money, et cetera, and they're not believing in anything. Okay. Well, they letting elections dictate whatever. But, if you know that you're a spiritual person, that God or creator, Allah, whatever you refer to that higher power as is real, that can help a lot. If you don't believe in anything, then you're going to really struggle. I hope you get my drift. Anybody want to make a comment about that? That could be considered a little controversial, but it's real. I'd love to hear your comments, feedback, questions. All right, well, I hope y'all getting something out of it. So I love this quote. This is by Raymond Hollywell. He says, as long as we allow things to seem real to us, we are putting our energy into it. We are nurturing it. We are feeding it. We are keeping it alive. We are putting our faith into that thing, whether we like it or not, and it must naturally grow. For the law of growth is ever working to produce whatever seed we plant. Chew on that for a moment, because that ties right into the thoughts. So if we're feeding our mind negative thoughts, guess what? They must naturally grow. It says whether we like it or not. So that's why we have to consciously, intentionally pour in some positivity so that the positivity can naturally grow. Thank you. Next. So I need to hear from y'all now, y'all. I need to hear from you. So start typing in the chat. How do you deal with anxiety and stress right now? And think of it like it's not even about you. Maybe what you share can help someone else, because people are hungry. Les Brown talks about you got to be hungry. People are hungry for answers, for solutions. So if anybody have any good ideas, or just share what you do. Don't even judge it, whether it's good or not. How are you dealing with this thing? Anybody? How are you dealing with the stress and anxiety right now? Because a lot of us are dealing with it. All right. Well, if you come up with something, at least write it down for yourself so you can know to put more of that in than not. Y'all a quiet group today. Oh, someone says they exercise. Yes, that's huge. That's a wonderful stress releaser. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, reading is good. Okay, so someone mentioned she breaks down at times, but me grabbing alone seems to help, not all the time. Oh, maybe grappling. Okay, yes. So yeah, sometimes we do need a good cry. Oftentimes my clients come in and let's say they have a breakup or something. And by the way, there's a lot of that going on right now. I think for the solid relationships, people are growing stronger, but for the ones that were a hot mess anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like it came to light, right? And so there's a lot of stuff going on, but nonetheless, they come, they've had a breakup and they just want to turn their feelings off. And I'm like, no, we're not animals. We're human beings. So feeling, and I mentioned grief before, there's 5 stages of grief. You got denial, you got anger, you got the bargaining where you're like asking God or asking questions or saying, maybe if I would have did this, then perhaps he wouldn't have left, etc. You got depression. And then finally you come to acceptance. All of those are emotions and feelings, and we're going to have them. So I like to say, go ahead, experience them. So thank you for sharing that. Sometimes all we need is a good, hearty cry, right? But then you mentioned another very important part about, struggling to, trying to grapple with it alone. And so that's where I come in, right? And that's what I want to encourage you. Reaching out for help is a healthy thing. Now, a lot of times we got our, our BFF, best friend for life. We got our mama, and we dumping all that stuff on them. And they got their own stuff to deal with. And we dumping all that stuff on them. And they mean well, and they trying to help, and they just frustrate you because they try to tell you what to do. I know how it go. I never tell people what to do, and I'm a therapist. I have a license, and I still don't do that. But they mean well. And so, but you see that sometimes it can make things worse, or it can keep you in a situation longer that's not healthy. And so not reaching out necessarily to your family and friends as much as an objective person, someone who's not emotionally tied to it, but can really help you see the light. I consider my job holding up the mirror so that you can see. Another young lady, Imani, thank you for sharing. She says, I clean. Ooh, you want to come over? I mentioned earlier the importance of cleaning. You might have a side hustle there. That's key. It does. Cleaning, the process of it helps, but also, when you have that more, cleaner environment, it just does something. It feels like weights have been lifted off your shoulders. Next. Okay, so we got to make this big because I'm for real. These are the things I don't recommend you do to deal with stress. Very, very key. And I know, they got the thing called happy hour, for example. And but alcohol is a depressant, y'all. Okay, it really is. So, I know a lot of clients, they might be feeling all right during their happy hour, but then they come home and they're lonely, and it makes it worse sometimes. So abuse of alcohol or substance or prescription drugs, which is another big thing right now. And you would think if the doctor's prescribing it, then it should be okay. But some of these things can be very addictive. And sometimes we learn vicariously. We learn from the people we grew up with, and we just think it's normal. It's just a normal way to cope. And so a lot of this stuff is bottled up, literally, no pun intended. Okay. Ms. Wanda said, isolation is my way of coping. I know that it's not healthy, so I'm working on it. Okay. Thank you. And thank you for your honesty today, because that's real. And, Wanda, with that, it could be that, sometimes the people we're around, they're a little toxic. And it could be family too. I'm from Brooklyn. Trust me. I got a little bit of everything. And so just knowing our limits and setting healthy boundaries is helpful with that. So sometimes, isolation, separating is probably a better word, could maybe be actually a proactive step. But for the most part, isolating and not being able to talk to anybody, not wanting to get out of bed and things like that, then yeah, I'm glad you recognize that, that's one of the ways, and it's not one of the healthiest ways. So I hope to leave you today with some healthier ways. So thank you for sharing that, because I know this is really personal. And again, the stigma attached to mental health can be like, nah, I'm good. And the truth is, we all need help from time to time. And then pretending to be okay. That ties right in. We do that a lot. Or go into apathy. This is kind of like when we give up. It's, we just feel like it's not worth it. Again, that's a thought that comes with that, by the way, right? Or many thoughts that come with that condition. But I'm here to tell you that there is hope. Okay, there is help. When we pray, if you pray, God delivers by way of therapists. I consider this my ministry, by way of books and other things. Also flight versus fight. Now that goes a lot hand in hand with trauma. A lot of us have had trauma, whether it be like abuse physically or sexually, sometimes some kind of violence. I would say a lot of us have been traumatized just with COVID too. Okay. Trauma will make you believe things that are not true. Okay. And so a lot of times people either avoid it. I know somebody that avoids stuff, or they ready to fight. And neither one of those are the better options. Okay. And then also maintaining those toxic connections, which I mentioned earlier. And again, that comes in the way of friends and family and, teachers sometimes and mentor. You got to know who you're dealing with. And if you're not feeling good, or if they're continuously criticizing you, then you might, that might be a red flag. And sometimes it's our partners. men and women. Sometimes it's our partners. You know, you go to work and, you know, everybody loving on you and saying how good of a job you're doing. And then you go home and you're, you know, told why you doing this, why you know, all your, you know, you feel like you're walking on eggshells. That might be an indicator that, you know, you're surrounded with toxic others. Okay, next. All right, so let's get to the good stuff. Okay, so I'm flexing myself a little bit here as a licensed therapist by providing you a treatment plan. Okay, and I really, again, if you get 1 or 2 things out of today, I'm happy with that. But please write these down. Okay, number 1, it ties right back into that first cause of stress and anxiety on the internal track, and that is our thoughts. And like what I like to say is stop eating mental junk food. So some of us do a really good job of taking care of ourselves physically, but then we feed ourselves mentally nothing but junk. So you want to monitor your mental chatter, okay? And there's many ways to do that. One way to do that is through affirmations. And again, I'm not hokey pokey pie in the sky. That's not me. But there's this law. There's a universal law of polarity. There's opposites. There's up and down. There's right and left. There's north and south. There's the angel and the devil, y'all. So there's black and white. So there's opposites. So remember I talked about scientists have already declared we have about 50,000 thoughts a day. So you're going to be thinking. So we can't stop that. And I know y'all try to meditate and try. I know, but that's why we're not achieving that. What you have to do instead is replace that. Replace that thought of I'm being disrespected. The world is coming to an end. To things like I appreciate everything about my life. And there are many other affirmations. Even if you don't see it being possible, you want to start to change the language of your mental chatter. Okay? So I appreciate everything about my life. I love my life. I'm surrounded by healthy, happy people. Wanda said, yes. You feeling that? Yes, Wanda. So then that's how we come out of that isolation you mentioned earlier, Wanda. I'm surrounded by loving, healthy, supportive people. If you say that every day, I promise you, things will change. Because, see, we can't control other people. We just can't. I know we try so hard. We know what's good for them. But think about it like this. God has a process for everyone. So we can't skip them a couple of grades. They got to go through what they're going through. But one thing we do have control over is our thoughts. Okay? So that's a big one. Monitor your mental chatter. The next one is practice your spirituality. And that could be however that looks for you. It can be going to church. It can be going to a mosque or a temple. It could be going to the top of a mountain. It could be sitting Indian style with, you know, with your meditation music going or with silence. However that looks for you, you want to tap into that spirituality, okay? Because that's how we get through anything. And that's why people ask me all the time, how do you do what you do? How do you not take all of that stuff home? And it's not that I'm not empathetic, because trust me, I've been through some stuff, okay? Raped at 14, teenage mother by 15. All of that stuff is in my book, y'all, The Purse and Essential Guide to Healthy Relationships. I've been through some stuff, I promise you. However, the way I got to where I am today, oh, it was a lot of work. Starting with my mental chatter that I am good enough. In fact, take a look. Y'all see that? So I'm constantly affirming to myself. So my shirt says I'm enough, in case you couldn't see that. Sometimes it's colors, okay? Sometimes it's things like I got a candle here. I'm hoping y'all can see this with the light, and I got the vanilla going, okay? So there's many things that could get us out of, you know, the darkness, all right? Little things. But practice your spirituality, tap in. I have people I read with. We read spiritual stuff first thing in the morning. So I don't eat CNN for the morning. I have a nice dose of some goodness, spirituality, you know, how I'm made in his image and how, you know, with faith, all things can be done, okay? Then you can schedule self-care. We got to schedule it. Yeah, I know how to use this for everything else. Schedule it. any gadgets you got, any kind of systems that we use for work and other things, right? We always going. You know, checking social media. You can schedule how much time you spend on social media and then schedule some self-care for yourself. Wanda says, I like this idea of scheduling self-care. Wow. And I've just recently reached out to get professional help. Very good, darling. Very good. Even before COVID, I had been treated, for PTSD, depression, and anxiety. And even some of those caregivers seem to forget about me at times. So I have to be my first caregiver. Oh, yes, indeed, my dear. Yes, indeed. Thank you for sharing that. That's very personal. I really appreciate it. You know, I can see you headed in the right direction. I can see that's why you're here in this conversation today. So you see how it lines up and God put people in your life, you know. And thank you for sharing, because other people are dealing with it. So when they hear from others, then they learn that they're not alone. So I really appreciate that, Wanda. And good work you're doing. It's going to be a good year for you. It's going to be a good year. All right. Learn to let go and be a team player. I'm so guilty. Trying to do it all. Only I can do it the way I want it done. That kind of thing. We got to start to delegate, y'all. We got to start to share. You know, even the kids, they can do stuff. Oh my gosh. Ask my 16-year-old son. They can do stuff. Okay. Put them to work. We don't have to do it all. And allow people to contribute to you, you know, especially those who are out there who are givers, giving. And Wanda kind of touched on that. She had to realize that, wait a minute, I got to give to myself, you know, and that's real but what I'm saying with that is sometimes, you know, if your child says, Ma, I wash the dishes, don't say, that's okay, I got it. Let that baby contribute. We so busy giving that we block our blessings and don't let nobody give to us. That's not fair. That doesn't make the people around you feel good either. Let people contribute to you. Guess what? Giving is as important as receiving. I bet you didn't know that. It really is, y'all. And then finally seek that professional help, okay? And then I'll talk about, you know, some ways. And if you have questions about that, please do put that in the chat. There are many ways to get help. You got your insurance, right? So if you have Medicaid, for example, in DC, you can call DBH, Department of Behavioral Health. And that number, you're supposed to already have your PIN, is 202-273-2200. Again, 202-273-2200. And they will hook you up with a therapist through Medicaid, which is the income-based insurance. If you're working, guess what? Folk like me take insurance, okay? So you can go to Psychology Today. You can put in anything you want. If you want a specific gender, a specific, you know, practice, ethnicity, whatever you want. And of course, your insurance, you can filter by that. You can do a search and you can find a therapist. There's also EAP. So sometimes people have this myth, right? It's interesting because when we don't want to do something, we come up with a whole bunch of justifications as to why not. But one of the biggest myths I would say is that therapy is expensive. Honey, not more than that purse. I can promise you. I'm a shoe girl myself. But seriously, therapy doesn't have to be expensive. And as a matter of fact, through EAP, even like through DCHA, they have EAP, which is Employee Assistance Program. It's free. And I'm a certified employee assistance person. That's why you see the CEAP after my name, because this allows you to have access to a licensed therapist like myself for somewhere I've seen 2 to like 10 sessions, and that's per issue. So there are many ways. When you start reaching out, it's something about when you start taking direction towards your goal or toward what you want in life, things line up. That's another universal law. Action, reaction. Okay. Any questions? This is really the meat and potatoes of it, y'all. Please take advantage. I love what I do. I don't mind sharing. You can ask me anything, but help is available. Wanda says, yes, I came from the exercise. I found you here too. I'm feeling grateful today. Yes, thank you. Thank you for all this insight and advice. Woo, Wanda, you on a roll. And why I say that is because practicing that spirit of gratitude is what gets you there, my dear. And I know, y'all, things look really, really rough right now, okay? But part of those affirmations is kind of like really being grateful that you woke up. You here today. You got, you got some blessings. You probably, just think about it. I don't want to say what they might be, but, the fact that we can even have this discussion, that's a blessing. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Garrett and BGH for that. And what are some of the benefits for the treatment plan? Yep, you got it right. The oxygen mask. You know, you might have went on a flight before, you might have saw it on a movie, but when you go on a flight, they tell you, which there are not a lot of people taking flights right now, but they tell you put on your oxygen mask first. They don't say if you're traveling with your baby who's under 2 years old. Nope. They say put your oxygen mask on first. So this is that idea of you got to take really good care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually so that you can then help others. And also think people, especially our kids, don't do what we say. They do what we do. So you want to model good self-care, okay? So that then other people around you will start to, duplicate that, model that, practice that. So put on your oxygen mask first. That's one of the major benefits of that treatment plan that I mentioned earlier. The next one. A family that prays together stays together. I think Tyler Perry created that movie. But we want to face life's challenges together with the support of our family and friends, okay, as much as we can. All right. And another benefit is it's kind of like, I call it the magic wand, because a lot of my clients, unfortunately, they struggle with what's called codependency, which is a clinical term, real quick. It comes from any kind of addictions, whether it be sex or alcohol, drugs, etc. I hope there's no children on the line. And it's not the person who has the addiction that's the codependent. It's the people around them. And this thing can go on for generations. And it's really a description of a very dysfunctional cycle. So I help a lot of clients get out of that, first become aware of that. But one of the big pieces of that is that you like to control others. You can't understand. You're doing all this stuff and why they don't listen to you and blah, blah, blah. And so one of the books I highly recommend is Codependent No More. And the subtitle, y'all, How to Stop Controlling Others and Start Caring for Yourself. That is real. So the moment we get what we can control, which has a lot to do with that internal side of the causes of stress and anxiety, oh yeah, that's when the magic wand starts. Because first of all, you just so relieved. It's hard to try to control folk and they ain't listening. Woo! And then what you can't control, being real about that. Now, a lot of times there's a negative connotation to control. You hear control. A lot of men, don't you trying to control me? Brother, go on, because I ain't trying to control you. Bottom line is that control, there is good control, okay? It's not all negative. And I'll give you an example, a perfect example. Driving a car. You need good control to drive a car. Otherwise, it's going to be a wreck. So control is good, but there's good control and there's bad control. Even with the kids, if you out of control, they're going to be out of control. But for example, if you need them to do something, don't tell them to do 20 things. Tell them to do one thing at a time. When they finish that thing, then you tell them to do the next thing. That's real good control. You running with the kids right there. All right. And if you have questions about that, please do share. But this is one of the benefits of the treatment plan that I recommended, which is monitor your mental chatter, etc. Then you want to lead by example, right? So as you do these things, right, practicing your spirituality, monitoring your mental chatter, you literally go from, all these fights and conflicts, and you transition from these shouting matches to smoother collaboration. And this goes for work too, y'all. This goes for work, okay? We want to lead by example so that people do know how to relate to us. So that when that coworker is just every worst case scenario, very pessimistic, they're trying to give you an incentive at work and they're like, what is that? That ain't nothing, whatever the case might be, you can start to put a little positivity in there by your words and your affirmations or whatever and help them. I'm like, okay. And that should help a lot. Okay. Next. So, if you have questions, the time is now. Don't hold back, or comments, right? I would like for people to share what you got out of this discussion today. Okay. So one way that I like to help my clients is to offer them, I created this thing called 10 Commandments for Less Stress. Okay. Number one is ask for and receive help. That's tough for a lot of people, especially if you're very independent, used to doing things on your own. And I think it was Wanda who mentioned, giving, and like the caregivers, they wasn't returning, right? It wasn't reciprocal. Okay. So if we had a few of those instances, I got it. But maybe that might not be the right place to ask for your help, but it might be another place that you need to ask for help. And don't set people up. Don't ask people to do stuff that they can't do. Or that they ain't got going on in their own life, and now you want them to do it for you. We can't have those unrealistic expectations. But if somebody's good with a certain thing, absolutely. And it could be, can you pray with me? Right? If that person's good with that, then you want to share that. Number 2 is be healthy and safe. And we really need to do that now. And I think more and more people are more conscious. I've always been a big hand washer, but it's like taking care of yourself. It's like the program we just experienced of physical fitness. You could do that right in the comfort of your own home with your cans. I said, I got to go run out. I ain't had canned food in a while. I'm going to run out and go get my can system because that was awesome. Or your car in a milk, or for me, it would be my almond milk. Okay. Then number 3 is have a support team. That could be in the household. That could be with the family. A lot more families are coming together now. They're playing bingo on Zoom. It's a good time to really reconnect. Laugh and smile. That's a big one. That's one of my favorites. You know how they say a smile is contagious? Number 4 is learn to say no. A wise person said no is a complete sentence. We got to learn to, let people know when our cups are full to the rim. Love and praise yourself. We got to take time to do that, because when we did that assessment earlier, I said it's not all negative. Identify the area you're doing well in. Give yourself some kudos. That's important. That's what keeps us going. That's kind of ties into that gratitude. When we're grateful, that links us to the source from which all blessings come. That helps us to be in the present moment when we become grateful, because we start to look around. One of the assignments I give my clients is every morning when you wake up, write down 10 things that you could be grateful for. Okay. And that might be including just things you got done, accomplishments you made. Number 7 is plan in advance. So the more we can plan in advance, the better. Practice good control. I mentioned that already. 9 is pray, meditate, be still, however that looks for you. Okay. And then finally, you want to take that quality time out for yourself. Even you extroverts, you need some downtime. You need some reflection time. And then take that quality time with your boo. Come on now. Stop punishing folk. Quality time is important. So that might mean, having the kids do some picnic in the backyard while y'all, have your little date night in the house or whatever. But we got to be creative during this time. Okay, thank you. I'm not seeing any comments, any questions. Switch to the next slide, please. This is the time. Next slide. Next, yeah. So that's my contact. I do have a free gift for you, a printed copy, beautifully graphic design, 10 Commandments for Less Stress. All you have to do is go to thepurse.net, and it's an address form. It's going to say Montrella's updating her address book. Fill it out, and I'm going to put today in the mail for you. Okay, and I'll hear things on my phone if you start filling it out. I'm going to put in the mail for you the 10 Commandments for Less Stress, which will benefit you as well as your family. Okay. And next slide, which is you call, we care. Okay. So that's all that I have. This has been wonderful. And if there's, any other questions or comments before I go, I have enjoyed my discussion with you all. I want you to be safe and healthy, and know that help is available.
Montrella, that was so informative. I love the fact you said monitor your mental chatter.
Yeah.
Think about so many things, like thousands of things that we think about throughout the day. And I don't really realize it. I'm always thinking.
Of course.
Never really thought it was, in the thousands, but I mean, that's probably why, I am stressed a lot, right? Because I'm thinking about everything I got to do.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to multitask.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
Oh, no, those were really good points, and I'm so glad that you brought it up. And your 10 commandments. Oh my gosh, I am still, I'm still learning to try to say no, and I need to, because I get overwhelmed, and I think there was somebody, a resident who I think it may have been Wanda, who she actually said something about no is a complete sentence.
Yes.
I'm reading her comment right now. She said, I always felt like I had to give an explanation. That's what Wanda said.
Yes.
Let's see. So okay, they're putting it up.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And that's so true.
Good work today.
That is so true. I always feel like you always feel, and not to talk too long, but it hit home for me.
Okay.
That's why I'm keeping you on a little longer.
No, and that's real. And that's what I want people to know, that we all kind of, need help, and we go through the same things. And even when you get your 10 commandments, ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to do one or two. Don't take on 100 things. I'd rather you master one or two things, because we're creatures of habit. So once we get that one thing in, like learning to say no, then we can move on, maybe asking and receiving help. One or two things at a time. And even with the babies, one or two things at a time, because then we'll get overwhelmed. That's more stress, right?
Right.
Oh my gosh, right? Homework. I give my clients homework. I'm like, it's not designed to make you more stressed out. Okay?
No, you're right. I mean, this is really important, folks. Self-care, taking time for ourselves. And your tips just really help me think about the things that I need to do. So I can, make myself a priority.
Yes, ma'am.
Montrella, thank you so much for joining us. Quarantine therapy. It's definitely, a pleasure having you on.
Thank you, Portia. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Mr. Garrett. This is wonderful. It's really wonderful.
All right, Montrella, thank you. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you are learning a lot. I sure am. I love to always, the workshops that we do. I'm learning every day, all the time. Like, even, I feel like, we do these a lot, but I feel like every time we do them, I learn something new and something that I can be doing to improve my quality of life and my mental health. So I hope you enjoyed Quarantine Therapy with Montrella Cowan. I want to encourage everyone to continue to comment in the thread. Give us your comments, your questions. We want to hear from you. We will answer them, so Wanda just said, thank you. This is wonderful. Thank you. I'm glad, I'm glad that you are participating. So, ladies and gentlemen, continue to stay engaged. We have one last workshop, and that is with Dr. Marcy Ross. We're going to talk about beating COVID naturally. So she's going to touch on holistic care, nutrition, supplementation. These things are very, very important to try to weather this storm that we're going through. I really call it weathering the storm. That's what it's all about, is getting through it and staying healthy. And she is just the person to give these tips. So I'm really excited about her workshop. So stay with us. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Garrett, Executive Director and CEO of the District of Columbia Housing Authority. We're always looking for new ways to enhance services for our residents and stakeholders. Today, I'm excited to give you a preview of our new Customer Solutions Center at our 1133 North Capitol Street headquarters. Residents and stakeholders will be able to make appointments to visit our center for safe and socially distanced meetings with their housing specialists and other DCHA staff. Learn more about our available services by visiting www.dchousing.org or by calling 202-535-1000.
Sometimes we need that extra encouragement. We need support, and Black Girl Health is a movement.
I love getting all the emails with the recipes, and now the new workout videos that we get daily. I now get CrossFit videos right to my email. So that means that it holds me accountable and I have something to do every day.
I work out of Pies Fitness Yoga Studio, and so it just helps to bring more people into my class, know that I'm out there teaching yoga in the community.
Being a BGH member means connecting with other women, networking, and being a part of a movement.
I am Kim Nelson Wright, and I am Black Girl Health.
I'm Kimberly Perry, and I am Black Girl Health.
Sherelle Moore Tucker, and I am Black Girl Health.
I was so excited to be here that I forgot to unmute my mic. So I am so excited to be here with you guys. I love the statement. I've been listening on even with the workout today, and Montrella, who did an amazing job giving us some amazing tips to help us stay well. And I'm going to talk about that because I love what she said, that well is more than being just absent of disease. But I love the commercial where it says, I am Black Girl Health. And I think that's such a powerful statement. I am Dr. Marcy, and like I said, I am thrilled to be here with you today. Not mainly, but a big part of it is because of you. I get to put on earrings and some lip gloss and put on some real clothes. So I'm just thrilled to be sitting here with you. I was able to be a part of the program for the day, and I can just tell you there's so many nuggets that have been dropped here today. So thank you for being here. I am the founder of Healthy and Happy Coaching, and as a clinical pharmacist and a integrative nutrition health coach, our company and our mission is really about helping women embrace self-care without guilt or apology. And I know that if you're a woman out there and you're maybe a mother, a wife, a work, an owner, a business owner, a sister, a daughter, so oftentimes we put ourselves last in our life, and we put so many people and things in front of our own health and happiness. So I really work to help women embrace self-care without guilt or apology. I offer, as an integrative nutrition health coach, I also offer nutrition support, helping you to really empower yourself through nutrition and wellness. And so today we're going to be able to talk about a little bit about all these things. So just really almost like a cherry on top for what we've already experienced. So if you could just start the slideshow, that'd be great. Thank you. Awesome. So we're really talking about, managing through COVID, right? Like how to stay healthy. And if you want to move to the next slide. Of course, welcome, welcome, welcome. I love what Mr. Garrett said. I think when it comes down to wellness, really this pandemic, the COVID quarantine, us having to socially or physically distance has really given us an opportunity to know ourselves better, right? You're spending a lot more time with yourself. It may seem weird to say, but we're so busy moving that oftentimes we really don't spend a lot of time with ourselves, knowing ourselves. And so he shared his experience with COVID, really just being able to spend time with himself. And I think that that's amazing. And I think the very important thing about that is he has been able to emerge as a better person, a better leader. And you can see it right here at the DC Housing Authority, what they've been able to do. And another thing he said that really struck home was that they were able to take a bad situation and do something positive about it, right? And so that's the same thing we have with us, with our wellness. We have an amazing opportunity to embrace our wellness, to get to know ourselves and also get to know our bodies and get to know ourselves through other relationships with others. And so although this has been a challenging time, as Montrella talked about, this has been tough on all of us, leaders alike. It's been very difficult. However, this situation is also an opportunity for us. And whether you started that in the beginning or whether you're just recognizing it now, it does not matter, right? You're here now. You're ready to embrace your wellness. You're ready to open up your mind and think about what your wellness means to you. You're ready to put down the guilt for loving yourself, taking time for yourself, and really finding a path forward for how do you be well, how to use this opportunity to be well. I wanted to also just say, as we get to know each other, I love to see your comments in the comment section. Where you guys, I'm in Northeast. I know that, you guys may be spread across the district, but I love to get to know my neighbors, even in a virtual world. So definitely chime in and let me know where you are, where you're tuning in from in the district. I'm in Ward 5. Representing Ward 5 over here. But yeah, just, feel free to interact. Even if you're watching this on the replay, I know that it's a beautiful day outside. Hopefully you guys are out there getting your vitamin D, even if you're listening to us on your mobile device. But if you're watching it on the replay, just feel free to comment. We will see those comments. We promise that we are plugged in to this programming. And so one of the things, I love this picture. You can actually make this picture bigger. I love this because, number one, it looks so delicious, first of all, but I love what it says about nourishing your body. And let me tell you why this is important. And it's actually very profound. It's not about feeding your body. It's not about, okay, what foods can you eat? When I say nourish your body, I mean your body, like the body of you. What is your essence? What is your life, your body? So much more than just one thing. We've talked about physical, emotional, spiritual, mental health, and that is wellness. That is this dynamic piece of life that you should be engaged in. And no, you won't be perfect on all of these sectors, but it's about being intentional. It's about engaging yourself and really nourishing the body that is you. And so when I think about mental, physical, emotional, mental well-being, that wellness portion, that's what I really call primary food. Right. So when we think about primary food, these are the things that we think about. It has not always just what you're eating. It has to do with nourishing your whole body. And so I'd love to hear of all these sectors or these pillars that make up your wellness, your primary foods. What are the areas that you are rocking it out? I know that you share some of that with Montrella, but I'd love to just know, like, what are some of the areas with your physical, your mental, your emotional, and spiritual well-being that you feel like you are winning at, that this COVID or the pandemic has given you an opportunity to really nourish these parts of your life. Yeah, that'd be awesome to just engage and learn, like, where you winning. I like to start with where am I winning, and then really go from there. So where are my deficits? Where are some areas that I also need to do better or pay attention to? Next slide, please. So for me, this is key. As someone who helps women, in particular women of color, really prepare for health and happiness, really to rethink their nutrition, rethink how they want to approach their wellness. Preparation is the secret sauce to success. And so when you think about your health and happiness, it's all about preparation. And so sometimes what we do is we see someone else that's winning. We see someone else who seems to be fit, who seems to have it all together. And we really think that it's complicated. And I can tell you that it's not complicated. It is really about preparation. You will find that when you are prepared for your eating healthy, when you are prepared for working out, when you are prepared for things like mindful breathing, what am I going to do when I wake up? How am I going to prepare my day? What are my intentions, right? So creating a healthy lifestyle, the key to this, my friends, is all about preparation, right? And so when you think about preparing healthy meals, we're going to go through a few steps that seem like intuitive. It seems like, I already knew that, right? There's always these things that you're just like, I already know that, but why don't I do it? I know I should be doing this, but I don't do it, right? We always have these internal barriers that stop us from doing the things that we know that we should do. So we're going to just go through very quickly things that we probably know, but we need to really put them in action in order to create a healthy lifestyle. And I can just tell you, and you can definitely share this in the comments, because we have been in this pandemic for a long time. And we're getting tired and we're getting frustrated. And we're also forgetting some of the things that we started to do early on. I remember early on, and definitely chime in here, when you saw videos, and we were laughing at this because you would see videos of people spraying their children down. I remember seeing on the news where people were spraying their children down with disinfectant. They were doing all these things to make sure that they did not catch the virus. They did not invite the virus into their homes or in their cars, or they weren't on their children coming back from school. But you can see slowly, and our numbers are reflecting that we are slowly creeping those numbers back up. In some cases, not so slowly. In Maryland, just yesterday, there were 1,000 new cases. And so we clearly are stopping to do some of the key things that we were doing before that helped us to limit the occurrences of us coming into contact with the virus, or that we could become a carrier. And so I really want to start to talk about ways, holistic ways, the ways that don't cost you any money, but ways, best practices for us to create a healthy lifestyle. First, talking about best practices, and then we'll talk about nutrition. Next slide. Okay, you can make this one bigger. Thank you. Okay, so virtual grocery shopping. This is one of the things that hopefully, I know that we all have a lot of Amazon packages coming. I know I will order from Amazon at 10 a.m. and expect my package of whatever that is to come by 12 p.m., right? Well, if you have not already transitioned to also ordering your foods, even if it's your non-perishables, even if it's, some people still feel uncomfortable with having their fruits and vegetables delivered, right? They want to pick them out themselves, and that's fine. But if you can transition to ordering some foods virtually, that is a great way, number one, to continue with your physical distancing, but also gives you an opportunity to decrease the amount of times you may come in contact with the coronavirus. And I say coronavirus, but I also mean, right, the flu virus. There's also other viruses that are now coming into the scope that we need to consider, okay? So virtual grocery shopping is a really great way to stay healthy, right? We're talking about ways to stay healthy. And so when you order online, you can also see if your local grocery store, they deliver. So you don't just have to do an Instacart or Amazon. You can actually reach out to your local grocery store and see if they actually do delivery. I know that Giant does it, Safeway does it. There are ways that you can definitely order from your still preferred location and get the food that you want without having to come in contact, okay? The other thing you can do that's a great tip is, I guess I already said it, you actually can make sure they can accept an electronic tip. Hi, Imani, thank you so much. Subscription services are amazing. I agree. Thank you so much for chiming in. They make the difference, right? You know, you want to make sure that you're being smart when you're going out there, and being able to cut down on the times that you may come in contact with the flu virus or the coronavirus is key to staying healthy, ways that you are in control of kind of this pathway. And so again, thinking about an electronic tip, and also if you still want to go out, I'm a mother and a wife, and I have a dog, and I have a home office. So sometimes getting out is my sanity. Marcella talked about stress. So sometimes I have, you know, walking the dog is not enough. I really need to get out for a little bit. And so I actually use their pickup services. So you can even, you know, order, you don't have to have them delivered. You can say, I can pick them up. So even see, do they have delivery and do they have pickup, right? Oh, thank you guys. Thanks, Lauren and Imani. We're so glad that you guys are here. Where are you guys from, or which part of the district are you in? Like I said, I'm in Ward 5. I'm in Northeast. I'd love to know where you guys are, see how close we are, see if we're neighbors. But yeah, this is really, really important. So next slide, please. Or you can make this one bigger. Thank you. You know my pattern now. Okay, so if you're like me, like I said, I have been definitely quarantining. I've been doing a lot of Zooms. Again, I'm a mother, a wife. Anybody wear these hats, raise your hand. Daughter, sister, I wear a lot of hats. And so sometimes in order to keep my sanity, I have to go. I need to flee the scene. And so, oh, yay, Ward 5, Brooklyn. So if you need to shop in person, so the guidelines we've been given are really, you want to limit that to once a week. Really, you don't want to have to, and we'll talk about how you can prepare to have a once a week shopping time to go out and do your shopping. And so it's important to sanitize your hands. So wash your hands before you leave the house. And then make sure that you take your hand sanitizer with you. I always have even at my desk, I have my hand sanitizer. Now there's no shortage. Remember months ago, there was a shortage of hand sanitizer, hand wipes, and toilet paper. But now there's no short supply. So even if you can stock up, have it in your purse, in your car, in your kids' rooms, or throughout the house. We actually put a hand sanitizer, a remote one that when people come in our house, we have it actually on the wall next to the door. If we have to have anyone from service or anyone come in our house from the outside, we actually have them sanitize their hands with the hand sanitizer dispensing in our house. So we are really, really, diligent with that. I know that for me, I find myself when I do venture out, because I don't go out that much, I used to hand sanitize everything. When I go in, I come back in my car, I'm hand sanitizing everything, my phone, the steering wheel. Anybody else do this? But then now there's times when I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to sanitize when I came out. So this is just an opportunity for us to recommit to these very critical best practices for staying safe and staying healthy. So bring wipes with you, bring your hand sanitizer with you. Many places are not taking cash. So, you don't have that issue, but anytime you can, make sure you use your credit card. You can use your knuckle, if you need to punch in your code. And also this tip I actually just realized a little while ago is I now take my own ink pen. So if for some reason, you need to sign something, even on the device that's at the cash register, you can sign electronically. Use your own pen. Anytime you can limit your interaction with things that are community, in the community that have been touched multiple times, that is a great way for you to holistically, naturally, and so on some very basic levels, just protect yourself and keep yourself healthy, right? So it's better to not contract the flu virus, not contract the coronavirus in order to stay healthy. And these measures are key. And so while I am an integrative nutrition health coach and a clinical pharmacist, I think that and I want to talk about nutrition next. These are key things that we all need to continue to commit ourselves to, right? So that we can continue to get these numbers back down, guys. So we need to do this together. So stock up on that hand sanitizer. If you can, order virtually, not just some things you may have seen on social media that you order on Amazon, but ordering your groceries. Get comfortable with that. You can even do that through your local grocery store, right? So just recommitting ourselves to these best practices will make all the difference in the world, okay? They even have hand sanitizer that's non-toxic. You can get healthy, you can get all types of, hand sanitizer with aloe in it. So try some, have fun with it. Try some new hand sanitizers with the lavender and all these things in it. So just even have fun, even if you're tired of doing it, but you know how we get some new perfume or something new. We're going to try it. We like it. So we get, just try different things. I also use my essential oils. So afterwards, I'll put some essential oil on my hand in order to just really keep my hands moisturized. I'll use peppermint. I'll use lemon oil on my hands, again, working as an astringent or something that will clean my hand, but also keep them nice and moisturized is a good way too. All right, you can make this one bigger. Thank you. All right, so thinking about thinking before you shop. So this is good for your pockets, right? And also for the time that you spend inside the grocery store, right? So remember I said preparation was key, right? It's all starting to come full circle for you now, isn't it? So preparation is key. And part of it is thinking ahead, so thinking about what is on your list, making a list. I can tell you that Siri, I don't want to say it too loud because she will activate. So sorry Kim is asking a question. I like to answer the questions. So I buy from doTERRA. The reason I love doTERRA is because you can actually put the oil from doTERRA in your foods. Like I use lemon drops on, anything. I might put it on salmon. I might put it on tea. You can use it and you can drink it. So I have I'm very leery of oils that say for external use only. So I use oils that you can actually consume. And so doTERRA to me is thebomb.com. So I use doTERRA. But if you finding any other brands that you can also, that they're naturally sourced and that you can use them, and you can also ingest them. That's also always a good place to know that they're clean. They don't have any additional ingredients in it that are not safe for us to ingest. Great question, Kim. Glendale, I see you. Hey, Imani. I just moved from Bowie, so yay, I know exactly where you are. So when we think before we shop, right? So it's about making a list. It's about that intentionality, really, again, being intentional. How many of us have gone to the grocery store hungry or without a plan? Hashtag Target, right? You go in for one thing and you just end up with a cart full of things that you didn't plan on buying. So again, for your budget, especially in these uncertain times, even if your jobs have not been impacted, we still want to make sure that we are thinking about our finances. We're thinking about our intentions with what we're eating. And another thing is when you are shopping, you want to think about your culinary skill set, right? Like basically what you can cook, right? So we might be like, you see something in the store, raise your hand if this happens to you. Oh, I'm gonna try to make some homemade ravioli or something. Oh, I'm gonna try this. You see something and you really just are outside of your skill set. And then the food ends up going bad because you're not really able to make it, or you don't really have the interest. It just was a fleeting thought. So when you are prepared, when you think before you shop, it really does help on the cost. It helps you to be practical, but it also helps you to take inventory, and we'll talk about this in a minute, of what you have in your house already, and see how you can start to build what I like to call the staple supply. So you have these staples, and we'll get to it in a second, but that you want to have in your house to kind of have with your pantry. So having a plan of how to stock your pantry with your non-perishables, how to stock your refrigerator, how to stock your freezer so that you always have a healthy supply of food at your disposal is is important. It's actually really imperative, right? So in order to, right, live that healthy lifestyle, to have that wellness that we talked about, to decrease your stress, these are some amazing practical tips that we need to really make our non-negotiables, right? So these things I'm saying, they're basic, but they should move from your non-negotiables. Like, I am prepared to eat healthy. I am thinking about ways to minimize my interaction with the virus or people who have contracted the virus if the virus is on surfaces, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to virtually grocery shop. I'm going to, when I go in person, I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to think ahead. So really, really important key steps. You can go to the next slide. Hey, Kim. Okay, so how many lemon drops would you get? So it depends. So sometimes what I'll do is, if I don't have fresh lemon, I will, I normally will squeeze a lemon on there, but I will do a few drops as I am preparing. If I don't happen to have a fresh lemon there, it's a perishable. So if I don't have it in the house at the time, and I'm not scheduled to go to the grocery store, right? Then I'll use some drops. Maybe if I use have a 3 or 4 ounce piece of salmon, then it may take like 3 or 4 drops just along the salmon before I cook it. If you've already cooked it, you can also put a few drops on there. That's very, very helpful. Great question. I love your questions, ladies. I talk with my hands. I'm really trying not to knock over everything. So, all right. So washing our hands. We've been hearing this for the whole pandemic, right? Wear your mask, wash your hands, socially or physically distance. But how tired have you gotten with washing? We wash our hands. Some of us, we had our hands were scaling, right? Anybody have the dry, cracked hands from washing your hands? You had the babies washing their hands which is great. Those are great best practices. And so it's really important. It's really important. So what I say is, wash your hands before you leave the house, right? Take your hand sanitizer with you. And when you come back, right, wash your hands when you get back home. Now, this hand washing, even if you skimped on the one before you left the house, when you come back home, you don't want to skimp on this one. I know my hands are so dry too, Lauren. I'm like, oh my gosh. So when you come back home, you want to make sure that you wash your hands thoroughly. If you have Alexa, if you have Siri, if you have Google, you can say, you don't even have to touch nothing. Just say, hey, Google, Siri, Alexa, set an alarm for 20 seconds and just wash your hands. Get in between, like if you were a surgeon, right? If you want to come out like this, like, okay, I'm ready to operate on this food. So you really want to make sure that you wash your hands thoroughly, right? And what I sometimes do is even have a bottle of Lysol, right? For external use. We're not talking about internal ingestion. But when you come home, you can spray your clothes with Lysol. Another thing you can do is also spray your doorknobs, because remember you walked in the door, right? And you can also, sometimes if you have closed items, you can spray the bag with, like, not a lot, but just spraying it. Again, just as the virus can live on surfaces for 3 days, right? And Lysol is amazing. Not to overdo it. We want to be smart about it. But you want to spray those surfaces that may have, may also carry the virus with it. So that's really, really important. So in terms of food, so now we've been out, right? We've either gotten our online groceries, or we have, so we order online, or we ventured out to get our necessities that we really want to. We've done this once a week. Now we're back in the house with the food. And so we really want to make sure that we clean the like if you have food, especially if you've had, like, you think about the broccoli or the kale or greens or any of the food that you may have bought that was in an open package, you really want to make sure that you wash it thoroughly. Another trick, if you really want to be thorough and you really have some concerns that perhaps the food has been out and you really want to make sure that it's clean, you can mix in 1 part water, 3 parts water and 1 part vinegar, and you can spritz it. You know, you want to spray on there, or just wash it with that. It's a great way to really clean your vegetables. I love that tip. Especially I buy from the farmer's market, that's really a lot of traffic sometimes at the farmer's market. And so that's a great way to really clean the food. And so this is really, really key. And I wanted to just, see, do you guys have any questions about this as we start to move on now that we've gone out, we've got the food, and now we're back in the house, and we're going to find out some tips that we can do to really stock our pantry, right? So all of this is really about how do you minimize, I keep saying this, minimize that interaction with the virus, the flu and COVID, right? How do you stay healthy? And these are really, really key things to do. All right, so Imani loves doTERRA. I love the peppermint. I have, the lemon, I just love. Ginger, I think those are really, really great. They also have some, for doTERRA, to answer your question, Imani, they have some products that are key that they actually formulate for immunity. And so those are great products. I actually use their cleaning products because they're non-toxic. And so I can go on all day about doTERRA, but again, another holistic way that you can stay healthy, things that you can do, things that you say, I know I should do, but because they are coming to our everyday life, it's hard to keep up. Sometimes you just have to be reminded to do some of these important things. Okay, next slide. Thank you. And so stock having what I call a smart supply, right? You really want to, so the guidance that the CDC has given us is that we really want to have a 2-week supply of food, right? So they say that if there's any change, so say for some reason you can't get out, right? You normally go out, like I said, I go out to shop on a Wednesday because it's non-peak hours. Rather than I used to go out on Sunday. And so now I go to the grocery store on Wednesdays and cook on Sundays. But if for some reason I can't go out, I need to have a plan. Remember, prepared, thinking forward, being intentional. I need to have a plan. And so the guidance is, as there are any community disruptions, they say, right? Anybody have any of those lately? Right? So community disruptions or any illness that, may fall on you or anybody in the family, or work schedules, school schedules, life happens. Maybe you cannot get to that one outing, or maybe you ordered your food too late and you weren't able to get the order on time. So really thinking about ways that you can have that smart supply. And so these are some tips that I offer. You want to store at least a 3-day supply of your non-perishable food, right? So ideally, you can really start small. And that's what I tell people. Sometimes you can go to the big places and get the big hauls like BJ's or Costco, but money might be tight, right? There's been a shift in much of our economic, lifestyle dynamics. And so if you no longer can afford to do that, you can start to build it slowly. And so for one time, you may go and buy a big bag of rice, right? And so you start to build up that non-perishable supply. And then you want to choose foods and you want to start to store foods that your family likes. Like my sons love when I make macaroni and cheese, right? So because I have designed one that actually is very healthy. And they have learned to love it in this pandemic. They have learned to love it. And so I store a lot of the whole wheat or chickpea pasta. And so really thinking about ways that you can store foods that your family will eat. And then also remembering, any dietary needs. If you have diabetes, or if you have hypertension, you want low sodium, you want low sugar food. So really, if you have someone who is a non-meat eater, if you have someone who has celiac disease, so cannot have gluten. So really keeping in mind when you make this smart supply that it's real life. Like I tell people, I'm in real life. Life is in session. And so you really want to not just do things that you think you need, like, in theory, the version of yourself you want to be, that you may not be yet, but just really being able to build a supply of food until you get to that 2 weeks, right? So don't stress yourself. Just like Montrella said, don't overwhelm yourself with these things, right? Just start small. Baby steps still get you to the finish line. I tell people, whether you run, you crawl, or you walk, as long as you are moving and you are on your path, then you will get there. It may not feel like it if you are moving slowly, or you see somebody zooming past you and you wonder, oh gosh, why am I not here? Why am I not doing this? Understand that baby steps count as steps too. And so build small. That's really important. Next slide. Thank you. All right. So we love our piggy bank, right? We want to cut costs down. And this is really, and I love this because everybody's financial situation is different. How often do we feel like we have to spend a lot of money to be healthy? You saw the workout with cans. You have, things in your house that you could have used, books, you could have used anything, right? So you don't always have to associate a pricey gym membership or a fancy grocery store with being healthy, eating healthy. And if you can't buy organic, it's okay. Get in the habit of buying fruits and vegetables. If you can't buy fresh, buy canned, right? Just rinse it off, buy if it's stored in water, those still count as nutrients. Those still count. And so really, how do you cut down costs? Thinking about your pockets, right? And so everything I've been saying is connected. If you haven't noticed yet, right? We talked about preparing to eat healthy, healthy lifestyle. We talked about ways that you can stay healthy from the time that you are preparing, which includes, right? Whether you can order online, whether you need to go, which day of the week you're going to go to the grocery store, what you're going to buy when you get there, how you're going to be safe, thinking about it. And so really being able to shop and cut down costs is important. And when you cut down costs and you're working within your budget and you're moving slowly for your smart supply, right? It decreases your stress, right? So we talked about the wellness. Remember, we talked about opportunity for wellness, right? So we talked about physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, right? Decreasing your stress is part of being well. Right. So that's what I want for you. So when you can keep costs down by planning, that is everything. And it is possible, right? So you can order low cost alternatives. You don't always have to buy name brand. I have gotten my husband off of Thomas's English muffins, and he now eats muffins that are not Thomas English muffins, but he loves just as much. And so, just really being able to think about those alternatives. All you have to do is flip over the label. All you have to do is flip it over, and you will learn that oftentimes the brands that you don't know, they can be the healthiest. They have the less processed ingredients, right? So thinking about lower cost alternatives is really, really important. For example, now I have done this, and I can tell you, I love it. I never in a million years, pre-pandemic, even health coach would have thought I would have done this. So I love hummus. And so I also am a granola-aholic. And for both of those, I've actually learned to make them myself. So you can find clear, easy instructions for how to make homemade hummus. That's amazing, right? So the chickpeas, you buy them in a can, you can buy them in a bag. and you can puree them and add some additional ingredients. You can make red pepper. You can make garlic. You can make all types of put all types of spices inside your hummus and make it your own, right? So it's a lot less expensive than buying hummus. Again, if you can do that. You buy nuts and oats. You can make your own granola, right? So if you're like me and you love granola, there's a lot of added sugar, and this can be expensive. And so just ways of cutting down your costs, right? Just by thinking ahead is important. A way to decrease your stress, a way to stay healthy. You got it? Let me know you guys are still out there. Kim, I see you. Imani, Lauren, thank you so much for chiming in. Thank you so much for being here. It's something that we all are sharing our passions with you guys. We're all in it with you. And we're just really thankful for DCHA for allowing and Black Girl Health for bringing this platform online so that we can all get these practical but necessary tips. And so another way to cut down costs is thinking about fruits and veggies. I already said, if you can't buy fresh, buy frozen, right? We've been made to feel guilty for doing that. But if you can't afford to buy fresh, you can't afford to buy organic, then buying frozen, you buy the bag, frozen bags. If you can't afford bag frozen food, buy cans. Just rinse it off. Try to buy it in water. Buy it when it's baked, when it's canned in water. Okay. So those tips are critical for being able to manage your costs and therefore manage your stress and therefore be healthy and happy. Next slide. Thank you. All right, so I talked about this a little bit. You can make this a little bit bigger. I talked about this a little bit. This has actually become my saving grace. And I'm hoping that you guys will do it too. It is so important to have a well-stocked pantry. The reason this is because you really sometimes, as we can see with the pandemic, things happen. Number one, there could be an emergency and the supplies are not there, right? And then you find yourself in a desperate situation, right? So having a well-stocked pantry can be the difference between staying healthy and falling prey to illness. Illness brought upon by stress, illness brought upon by, lack of nourishment. And so having a well-stocked pantry is critical. And so, like I said, it's important. There's guidance that says that you want to think about food for 2 weeks. You want to think about building your non-perishables for 2 weeks. And you also want to think about how can you build this supply up so that you don't really have to, scavenge. And I tell people, when you are hungry, you will eat your arm. Like, when you're hungry, it's easy to make poor choices. It really, really is. One of the reasons, right, is it actually is something that our body it's alarms going off. Right. So when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, your body is actually in a state of emergency and it's sending off alarms to you. Our brain and our heart require glucose, right, to survive. So just imagine when our blood sugar dips, right, when we have these dips in blood sugar, when we don't eat properly, when all these things happen, it sends our bodies into this alarm, this panic. Right. So having a well-stocked pantry, having food for 1 or 2 weeks will help you to be prepared so that you don't have to go into a tailspin. Right. And also you don't have to stress. You always have the food with you. So you think about dried or canned beans or peas or lentils, like black beans, like I said, chickpeas, kidney beans. Oh, it's making me so hungry thinking about it. Canned vegetables, dried or canned fruit, in 100% juice, or they may also put it in water. And, canned fish, you can do tuna, sardines. Nuts are always great. I always go crazy. I have to measure out nuts before I eat them because, it's easy to go crazy. Soups and broth. You can get low sodium vegetable broth, chicken broth, and make yourself a great soup. Easy to mix in some celery, some onions, and some carrots. And before you know it, you have a nourishing meal for everyone. So it's important to stock up on these things. And so when your kids go into the pantry and they say, "It's nothing to eat in here," you're like, "Yes, there is. I know there is." Next slide. Awesome. Thanks. All right. So freezer has become my bestest friend. I actually prepare food. I cook it. So I make turkey burgers or chicken burgers. I will cook them, weigh them out in 4 ounces. I will cook them and I will store them in the freezer. I will buy fresh, so bagged or fresh vegetables, and I will store them in the freezer. I will make whole meals and put them in a meal container and store them in the freezer. Having your freezer so that you can, when you're working and one of the kids come up to you and say, "I'm hungry," you can say, "It's in the freezer." Like all they have to do is pop it in a microwave and you're fed. If you're tired or you want to spend time working out, right? You want to spend your time working out, taking care of your body, being physical, doing that workout again that we just saw earlier, right? You can freeze your food. And you can just take it out, microwave it. You can make it in family portions so that you can put it in, even put it in oven safeware and Pyrex so that you can maybe put it in the oven and have just like have your family meals. I love it, Imani. Freezing soups is the bomb. So you may get into a spirit of meal prepping, like on a Sunday. I'm a meal prepping queen. I have surrendered my time for meal prep. I feel full for my self-care and for my weekly workouts. And so I am happy to do it. And so I spend tons of time making soups that I freeze, making, all types of food. Like I said, I make my turkey burgers for the boys. I will, even veggie burgers. I will freeze everything because during the week, I want to say this, go to the freezer because I have boys. So, every 7 minutes I'm doing, it's food in there. Anybody else have boys in the house? Oh, yay, Monty. Thank you. So make your freezer your friend. Right. So hopefully during this time, you've seen a pattern of, right, an opportunity for wellness. Martrella said, yes. I love it. See, even the speakers, I was so fed from Martrella's talk and from the workout as well. This has just been remarkable. And I hope that you guys can take all these nuggets and even you just little pieces. That's what a nugget is. It's little pieces that you take now and little pieces that you can apply later. Once, like Martrella said, you master some of this. Very practical things that you can do to stay healthy. Next slide, please. Okay. So remember I said with my sons, how many of you have had your partner or even yourself sometimes, your children, whoever, open the refrigerator and say, "There's nothing to eat in here. There's nothing." I love what I call food improv, right? When you start to have that supply, that smart supply, yes, toddlers, boys, I don't know what it is. I think they have a second stomach somewhere. But food improv is awesome. You can look at your perishables and say, okay, so this spinach may be going bad, or let me use it now. I have some peppers that I need to use. So, this fruit, all of a sudden you have this amazing salad. You put some chopped grilled chicken in there. So, this is just awesome to be able to do, right? Looking and seeing what you have and what you can use, right? So just leftovers that have a timeline, but also what you can do is, again, freezing is amazing. Look at the like leftovers include opening the freezer. I open both doors and see what do we have in the freezer and the refrigerator so that I can make a new meal, right? And another thing that this does, and I don't know if I said it, but I think it's important to say it again if I didn't, is remember Montrella said that she tells people to clean up, right? Clutter is, you cannot be efficient in clutter, as I tell my husband all the time. But a cluttered mind, right? It is hard to see through a cluttered mind. That is where you start to feel stressed. You start to keep your lists in your mind. I don't know why we do that, right? Get those lists out, write it out, use your verbal devices, your hands-free devices, right? So being able to clear that clutter, really make that mental clutter, like Montrella said, that mental chatter, makes all the difference. And so you'll be able to implement these simple tools when you can prepare, right? When you can clear the clutter in your mind and be able to do these simple things that will make all the difference in the world for you. Okay. All right, I think I have next slide. All right. So I know I've been talking because I have a lot of slides. You can make it a little bigger. And I want to just check in with you, see how you guys are doing. Leftovers. Thank you, Black Girl Health. Food improv is so important. Portia's son is only 2 years old, and he opens the refrigerator. It says it's nothing. Oh yeah, I have that. Yeah, and I'll fix them. I'm like, yep, look in the freezer. And I can list. I know what's in there now because they look in there on the left side because they'll say that I don't see it. Right? Even the grown man, they don't see it. So I know exactly where food is. And, I also share some tips as we talk along of how they can learn where the food is. So I'm just checking in now before we move on to the nutrition section, right? We got our healthy tips, our holistic things that we can do to decrease our stress. That builds immunity when you're stressless, right? Practical ways that we can actually stay healthy. So we can uninvite the virus into our lives. You are uninvited virus. Bye-bye. So anybody else? Oh, I love that. So my favorite comfort meal. I love this question. Thank you for asking this. I love this. So what I've been doing is making, I've done it 2 ways. So chili has been thebomb.com here. And I've done it 2 ways. So there's times when my meal plan, like as I prepare, right, planning for being healthy, I may do less carbs 1 week. And so I'll make a chili that has no beans. So a beanless chili, but guess what? I can have the meat and the sour cream and the avocado, right? Sometimes you're like, that seems unhealthy. It is not. It's so delicious and so packed with antioxidants and good, healthy probiotics for us. And so our chili is a great versatile dish. You can make it without the beans, but guess what? You can make it without the meat, right? You can make it without the meat. My family loves it, beans and meat, or meat without the meat, or without the beans. So I love it because you can really, it was nothing like, especially we had cold weather last week. That was amazing. I'd love to know, what do you guys love in terms of comfort meals? We talked about soups are amazing to make, that are comfort and that you can freeze. And, lasagna is also good, quick and easy. They have lasagna that's already pre-cooked. What? I'm talking about the lasagna pieces. And then you can make it vegetarian, so those staples that you can have, that you can switch out. I like that because it's the same thing with a twist. I like that because they won't say, oh, we're eating this again. Oh, chili again. No, they never say that. They love it, love it, love it. So thank you for that. I love that. Chili and soup are my go-tos right now, especially about to settle into wintertime. and my granola. I told you I'm a granola-aholic. So they love yogurt, granola, and that's how I get them to eat their fruit, right? So I say, oh, you want your granola or the granola and the yogurt? I will add on a banana on the bottom, or I'll add some fresh strawberries on top. So even for the children, you find these quick meals that you can look in your refrigerator and really make a healthy snack, right? Especially Halloween just left. The devil food, right? Get it out. Rebuke the Halloween candy. Anybody else need to rebuke the Halloween candy? I know I sure have to. Okay, so all right, so let's move on to our next section. I like this part. Speaking of, right, things that you can make with your family. I love this. And I can tell you, when we start thinking about relationships that may have you've been more aware of, believe it or not, for me as a mother and a wife, being in the house as the only woman, I have a male dog as well. I really didn't realize how much, you think you know your children because you birthed them and they're with you every day. But being there, sitting with them, having conversations with them, you really learn a lot about them. And so what I've done is I've started to distribute some of the work loads with whether it's laundry, again, decreasing my stress. I don't know how they have so much laundry and I don't go anywhere, but that's a whole another webinar. But when you think about cooking, I love this, right? Because there are things that you can do to invite them in. When you are less stressed, when you are prepared, you are able to open up a part of yourself that allows them to come into the environment that you're in. And you're not stressed about cooking. Remember, you used to be so stressed. You're running from here to there. They got practice. You late from work. You sat in traffic. And, let's just go to the McDonald's, or let's just go to the Chick-fil-A, or let's just eat out. Now you're there, you're home, and you have an amazing opportunity if you prepare, if you're less stressed, if you start to think about your primary foods, you can invite them in. It can become a family thing, even if your child is 2 years old, even if your child is 18, even if your child is home from college on the couch, or still in the house when they're supposed to be off college. There's a way that you can invite them in and make it fun. Make it, even if you do food improv, make it fun. Like, what do you guys see in the refrigerator? Okay, let's see what we got in here. Let's see what we can make. Okay, so you guys try to make this. Okay, let's see what we have, and even have a contest. Let's see who can cook the best meal based on the leftovers. And whoever wins, you guys eat that. And the runners up, you guys can freeze it, right? Did I just drop the mic? Mic drop. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So really getting the family involved. I remember before this, I didn't want them in the kitchen. I was already high stressed. But now I invite them in, even if it's, making, preparing taking the plates out, or whether it's measuring. Sometimes if it's measuring, you can have kids measure. You can have them get the ingredients out so that you can be prepared for it. You can have somebody turn the oven on. There's always a place for you to make it a fun activity. So I love, 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 love the idea of making it fun. Now, the research says, which I don't do in my house, they actually say, okay, don't watch TV while you're eating. Eat at the table. That's not my family culture. We do sometimes eat at the table, but because we love family movie night, we've implemented family game night, and we've implemented family movie night. And so if one of my kids say, Mom, let's watch a movie, I'm not going to stop that connection and say, no, we're supposed to eat at the table. That's where they say connections are made. I think that you can give yourself permission to do the thing that makes your family well, that makes your family connected, right? When you're in tune with yourself, you're able to do away with some of the things that the world or society says you should do. And so as long as they're not shoveling food down their throat, as long as they're pacing themselves and they're enjoying the food and the nutrients, which is important to me for my children to not to have that mind-body connection with food. I love eating in the living room with them and watching a movie and having that time together with them. And so really finding ways that you can connect over food is an amazing way. And healthy food, healthy habits, that's a bomb. Okay, so I'm 50, so I say things like the bomb, my peeps. I say all these things from the 90s. Dope, that was dope. So don't judge me. I love those words. Kids, they're really absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So how many of you guys, way to get the kids involved? I love that. Like, how many of you guys invite the kids in? How many of you guys can think about being stressed? How many of you guys can think about why you don't invite them in? Right. So maybe that's an opportunity to assess your stress. Maybe that's an opportunity to see what are the barriers that I have. So that's a great way to check in with yourself, as Montrella said. Check in with yourself and think about what are some of those barriers that may be preventing you from having an awesome experience with the kids in the kitchen, right? And they don't have to be in the whole time. They don't. They can have somebody who is just getting out the napkins. You can have somebody who's washing the dishes while you cook. You can have music on. There's all these ways that you can invite your family in. All right, next slide. All right. So as someone who works closely with women in their meal plans to help them release unwanted weight, but to really help them set a healthy pattern for eating and to really establish a strong, healthy connection and relationship with food. I love their certain diets. What I don't like are the marketing, I guess the things that are trends. Those things to me are not sustainable. But when you think about a diet, and I don't necessarily like the word, but I think that it hits home. It puts us all on the same level playing field with the conversation. I do like the Mediterranean diet. I think that if you think about foods like, just fresh fruits and vegetables, you can easily create the Mediterranean diet. You can create salads based on this. You can also do a day for being meatless, right? So you can do all week, say, okay, I'm not going to eat meat this week. I'm going to, release red meat for the week and then, eat it on the weekends. They're all things you can do. Be a vegetarian for the week. You can do Mediterranean diet, which, includes the vegetables, the fruits, whole grains, healthy fats like avocado. I love avocado. I know many people don't, but I love avocado. You see my skin? That's avocado. But also playing around with fish. I love this idea, right? So for me, it's like, okay, so for the week, I'm gonna really explore different fish, right? All of us, a lot of times we know salmon, right? Tilapia. But there's so many other great fish out there. You have cod, you have halibut, you have swordfish, you have tuna, the blockfish, tuna steak, right? And you can buy them in bulk. You can buy them in bags that are frozen. You can keep it in the freezer. Remember, we said we love the freezer. So you can keep it in the freezer and you can just explore. A meal would taste so different if you swap out the salmon for a cod, right? But even if you keep the vegetables the same. So those little swaps can really help the family feel like they're having a different meal every day when you may be feeding them carrots every day for a week. But if you pair it with a different main dish, like a different fish, then, it makes them feel like they're having something special. Imani has a question. And family meals. So that's really easy. So if you're meatless, a lot of times you have beans that are high in protein. You can add chickpeas. You can add another great combination. We always think beans and rice is because, I love beans and rice. I never used to think about how much they pair well, but there's certain foods that pair so well together for our body to digest. So if you have beans and rice, one day, that's awesome. You can have, if they're meatless, you can still have tofu, right? Tofu is something that's also a great option. You can make veggie burgers. You can buy frozen amazing veggie burgers as well. So there are lots of options for protein for people who are on who are meatless. Right? So great question, Imani. Thank you. I love that you guys are engaged. Okay, so I will read the next slide. Does that telling me to hurry up? Oh no, we're not. Next slide. Okay. All right. So now we're talking about immunity, right? So we've talked about how do we stay safe? How do we stay healthy with practical ways that we can ourselves be in control of from the outside world, stay healthy. We're uninviting COVID and the H1N1 to Thanksgiving. You cancel, right? So we know what to do with that. Now let's talk about how we can really boost our immunity. And so the next section is really going to be talking about nutritious foods and healthy diets, really thinking about immune boosting foods and vitamins that help you stay healthy and help you fight the viruses. We got a few now, flu and COVID now, so this is important. All right, so next slide. Right, so I put this up here because I know I've been saying it, but I want us to be mindful that not only are our numbers going up with the number of positive COVID cases and the number of hospitalizations in the district in Maryland, in Virginia, right here in our backyard, excuse me, there are also flu. Now the flu and the cold are not the same thing. People die from the flu. The flu virus is not to be played with. We need to make sure that we stay safe from the flu as well. So not only when you think about the tips that we talked about, using them for COVID, assume too that a person is carrying the flu virus as well. So when you think about how do you stay safe, right? The hand sanitizer, the thinking before you go out, all these things, food matters too. So while I'm not going to talk about the whole list of foods, I am going to share with you the key things that you need to invite inside your body through nutrition that will help boost your immunity so that your immunity is strong, so that your stress is low, and so that you are ready to fight whatever comes your way, right? So next slide. So I want to talk about foods to avoid, right? So the literature is strong for this. So hear me with this. Inflammation is the mother of almost all diseases. Inflammation in our bodies is it lays fertile ground for disease. It lays fertile ground for our immune system to take a hit. When your body is in a state of inflammation, there are certain things that your body is sending out. There are certain anti-inflammatory markers and cells and things that are going on that you can't see that your body is having to fight that inflammation. And so the more that you can uninvite inflammation in your life, the more that you can do things to reduce inflammation, this is how you will build your immunity, right? So remember, your body fights inflammation. So your body is sending out all these cells. It's under attack because inflammation to your body is like a foreign body. It's saying something's in here that should not be in here. And so while your body is now taking all of its resources to fight this inflammation, it's taken away from its ability to fight the virus. It's taken away from your ability to stay healthy and stay strong. Okay, so we want to reduce our inflammation, right? When you eat processed foods, it's not just saying, and I think that people, sometimes we are done a disservice because they don't really say why you shouldn't eat processed foods. Oh, processed foods are unhealthy for you. You should eat fresh. You should eat this. They need to tell you why, right? The reason you don't eat processed foods is because it is full of sugar, right? And all the things that your body will trigger as inflammation. So processed foods, your body will say there's a foreign body in my body. There's a foreign body in my body when it sees a processed food that's normally made of a some type of toxin, right? Most of the time there's something in there that your body doesn't recognize as food because it's processed, because it's something that may have been made in a lab, something that is added that's not natural. And so your body will see it as a foreign body. And so it will attack it. And so sometimes when you see your stomach is bloated, or you will see your body react when you eat a certain thing, like, oh, I don't know why I ate that. How many times y'all say that? We eat something, we're like, why did I eat that? You go to a fast food restaurant, or you eat some food, and your body will immediately feel it. Right. And the more that you're well, and when I'm talking about well, I'm talking about that primary food, the more you're going to be in tune that something not right. Right. Your body will let you know, and you will be in tune now, right, that something is not right. And so avoid processed food and avoid sugar. Right. Excess sugar, viruses love some excess sugar, right, because it causes inflammation. So hopefully you guys got that. I really wanted to drive that home, right? All right, next slide. All right, don't click. Hold on. All right, make that bigger. Thank you. All right, so who do we still have here? I want to see. This is a little quiz. It's a giveaway, really. But we're going to move to micronutrients. Key things. This key, I don't even want to say it, but it starts with a V. This key vitamin plays a critical role in building immunity. Anybody know what it is? In the chat, who's still here? Imani, Kim, did you guys leave me? Who's here? So this vitamin, anybody know yet? All right, click again. Let's see what we got. You knew already, I'm sure. Right? Vitamin C is the bomb, right? So vitamin C is important to intake because it's critical as it combats colds. It's really, really thought to be able to increase the production of white blood cells, which is really important to help us fight. Hey, Mani, I'm glad you're here. Vitamin C helps us increase those white blood cells. White blood cells help us fight disease, right? So the more that you increase your intake of vitamin C, the more that you increase your production of these virus fighting, bacteria fighting, disease fighting cells. And so you really want to be able to do that. You can actually have vitamin C in supplements. You can take it, take a vitamin C tablet, or if it's in your multivitamin. The only thing I caution against with vitamin C is that it's acidic. So you want to make sure that with chewables, right, with your teeth and your enamel, that you rinse your mouth out, right? Don't let it sit in there because it will eat away at your enamel. If you can get it in liquid, or if you can just swallow it in a pill, that's great. But you can also get it in food, right? So citrus, grapefruit, oranges, of course, lemons, limes, papaya, kiwi. But let me tell you, and y'all probably didn't know this. Don't act like you did. You may know it, but you might not. One of the things that is amazing that is not a citrus-based source for vitamin C are red bell peppers, right? It has twice as much vitamin C as does citrus. And so things that you don't even think about adding to your food, right? So if you have stuffed bell peppers, or if you chop up some peppers and add to that chili that we're eating, taking my vitamin C. So didn't know. So, oh, yep, it sure does. And make sure when you take the powder, if you put it in water, make sure that after you drink it, you're rinsing your mouth out with some water just to get that acid off your teeth. But yes, we love vitamin C. It's awesome. And fighting one of those amazing water soluble vitamins. And the reason I say make sure you know it's water soluble is because we excrete it. So we need to build it up. So just because you took the vitamin C powder, or you ate your fruit yesterday, or you had red bell peppers, you still need to eat it regularly, because your body is removing it or eliminating it. So the reserves will be low quick. Okay, so keep on doing it. Keep at it, right? Switch it up. So broccoli, spinach, they just said eat your greens, but they didn't tell us why. Why do we need to eat our greens? I love it. So they say eat your greens, but now you know why, right? So it helps fight disease. It helps build our immunity. Really, really key. Okay, next slide. All right. No more quizzes. You can make that one bigger. Ginger and garlic. So these two things, to me, I just feel like they go together. I love it. I am becoming a fan of garlic. I didn't used to be a fan of garlic because I just felt like I couldn't get the taste out of my mouth. But when I tell you garlic powder or minced garlic adds such flavor to food, but not only are they just such an amazing source for for our immune system, really working for our body to build up immunity, especially ginger, such an amazing anti-inflammatory. So you can add this. Just imagine, again, we were talking about oils earlier, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but if you rubbed the ginger like in between, like on your wrists, or for me, like there's certain things that I may do, especially as an anti-inflammatory. I'll add the peppermint, the ginger oils, and rub it actually on my stomach because it helps with motility. And so ginger is just amazing. Add it to your teas. You can grate it. You can add it to your smoothies. Just an amazing source, and you can buy it fresh, and I love that. It tends to not be expensive, so you can really add it as one of your staples. So garlic and ginger are key to adding, with removing processed foods and sugar, and adding vitamin C, and adding garlic and ginger. All right, anybody else out there a ginger lover? Okay, so next slide. I think we're moving right along here. So fermented foods. Now, it took me a minute to also get into this, but I have found that fermented foods is amazing if you're trying to get your stomach flat. Okay, we want to talk about gut health, but if just for aesthetic reasons, if you just want to decrease the roll or the bloat in your belly, adding fermented foods to your diet is a game changer, okay? And so whenever you can add a probiotic like plain organic Greek yogurt, kefir for milk, your kids would never even know it was. They have done something with the taste over the years. If you buy kefir milk, it is so amazing for gut health, right? So it's all, they say the gut is a second brain, right? So when you think about stress, sometimes our brain really can't process it, but you ever just be like, oh, my stomach, oh, I don't feel right. There's something, the anxiety in the pit of your stomach. All these things come from our second brain where we hold stress. And so anytime you have an opportunity to love up on that gut, to make a healthy bacteria culture in your gut, it will change your life. We know just from losing our amazing, Wakanda for life. We, just King T'Challa, from colon cancer, right? So we know that gut health is something we got to pay attention to as a community, right? So just thinking about, gut health. So it's important to bring that to the forefront. And it's easy. It's easy. Okay, so you definitely got to do your crunches and help with your core. But in terms of food, adding on yogurt. Remember, I told I'm a granola-aholic. Always adding on some yogurt with some blueberries, right? Blueberries are amazing antioxidant, and I love it. And then adding on, the yogurt, the granola, and blueberries or fruit really helps. That's an immune fighting snack for you. What? Yes. Kombucha, sauerkraut. Yeah, we've been eating sauerkraut this whole time and didn't know how amazing it was. I know our grandmamas knew what they were doing. So fermented foods is important. All right, vitamin D. Okay, got it. Will do. All right, so vitamin D. So you can make that bigger. This is actually our next to the last slide. We're almost home, guys. And so vitamin D is amazing. The reason I love vitamin D the most is because vitamin D don't cost a thing. Don't even cost a penny. Does anybody know, if you want to just put in the chat, how you can up your volume or up your intake or your body's intake of vitamin D for free? It's on the slide. So you may know, like sunlight, right? Just getting outdoors, sitting on the porch for 20 minutes, walking your dog. All you need is 20 minutes a day of sunlight to up your stores of vitamin D. Really, really important. And I love, love, love this. So vitamin D don't cost you a thing if you just go outside. Other ways that you can add your intake of vitamin D is through food, right? But first I want to tell you the signs for vitamin D deficiency, because we miss it a lot. So one of the things is fatigue and muscle weakness, right? Hello, fatigue, tired, right? So it can be swept up in our life. It can be swept up into other disorders, and we don't always know that we are deficient. And so really making an effort and being intentional about going outside and getting some vitamin D love is important, right? But you can also get your milk and your eggs, salmon, right? Some of these foods that taste good also have double duty, okay? So vitamin D. All right, next slide. Our last slide. So I wanted to put this on here because I know we talked about, right, tips and deliveries and shopping. The reason I put this last is because it does come into play in terms of if you decide to order food in, right? Prepared food that's already from a restaurant that's already prepared for you. Things to be aware about is just thinking about foods on a menu that say crunchy, battered, breaded, creamy. We love all that, right? Just understand that a lot of times they have hidden added sugars. They have sometimes toxins, foreign bodies, processed foods in them. And all of those wreak havoc on our immunity. And they really tear our immunity down. And this is not the time for it. So I just wanted to offer some tips for really being mindful of, eating out. So ordering out, really being intentional, even when you order from a restaurant. And I think that's it. Last slide. We made it. You guys did it. Give yourselves a round of applause. I'm so excited. I know it was a lot of information, but baby steps. Remember, baby steps. Anybody have any pressing questions for me? Even if you're watching this on a replay, I encourage you to ask your questions. I encourage you not to stay silent. I encourage you to step into an intentional wellness, life of wellness. And so ask your questions, get out there. There's always somebody here to support you. And we are here. If you haven't noticed it, we are here to support you. Judgment free. We are here to provide resources for you to help you be well. And that's it for me. You can follow me at Dr. Marcie on all platforms, DrMarsie. I'm actually offering a free webinar on those 10 myths about nutrition. We're going to debunk those and really start living intentional and living in the truth about nutrition.
That's what it's all about, Dr. Marcie. I love the fact that you were talking about, what was interesting is freezing the soup. So freezing soup, I've never thought to freeze my soup, but now I'm going to start. I just learned different things. I'm like, girl, she freezing soup?
Freezing, making homemade granola. And I never thought, I think it all starts with Mr. Garrett said, that the pandemic has allowed him to sit with himself and really get to know himself and build that relationship. And you just discover, like, I have decluttered my mind, and now I have the space to have some other discoveries about the things that I like and explore some things. So yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely. No, good stuff. I mean, my vitamin C, I know vitamin C is, obviously really good for you, but I didn't know about how it, helps to increase white blood cells. And that is really important because when we talk about COVID and we, talk about the flu and all these different viruses and diseases and stuff like that, our white blood cells cannot be compromised. We need to make sure that we need to, increase the production of our white blood cells.
Yeah.
Girl, I'm about to, when we get off this, I'm about to get up on my vitamin C again. Like now, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to make sure I take a little bit more of this.
Yeah. I know we do get fatigued from doing some of these things, and I think this is why. Thank you so much to Black Girl Health and for DCHA for doing this, because we need reminders.
Sure.
We need a community of people who are helping us, not judging us, not telling us you should do this or you're wrong for this or you're too big, you're too small, but really just the information that's digestible. And that's why I think that this was so powerful today.
Absolutely. And I know everyone sees on the screen Dr. Marcy's free webinar. You want more of this and more in depth about living a healthy lifestyle from Dr. Marcy. That link is in the comments, actually, in the thread. So you can click on that link to go to that site to get that free webinar experience from Dr. Marcy Ross. As always, thank you so much for giving us just a host of information that we can help and use to be a resource to help us live a healthy lifestyle through this pandemic. Thank you so much, Dr. Marcy.
Thank you, guys. Stay well.
Bye-bye, hon.
Bye.
Okay, so that about does it. I mean, everything from beating COVID naturally with Dr. Marcy Ross, which just, so much good information. Then to quarantine therapy, about getting our mind right through this mess is what I call it, honestly. And staying active through COVID. Those were the three the workshop series that we had today. So I hope that you learned a lot. And again, if you watch this on replay, Dr. Marcy was saying, please still feel free to, comment and, because we'll still see them, So I hope you enjoyed it. I would like to, again, thank the DC Housing Authority for this wonderful partnership with Black Girl Health. It is amazing, as always, to bring you another virtual workshop series. I look forward to, continuing that and being able to just bring more and more information to the residents of the district so that you can make informed decisions about your health. And that's about it, y'all. I'm Portia Johnson from Black Girl Health. Thank you for tuning in.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Garrett, Executive Director and CEO of the District of Columbia Housing Authority. We're always looking for new ways to enhance services for our residents and stakeholders. Today, I'm excited to give you a preview of our new Customer Solutions Center at our 1133 North Capitol Street headquarters. Residents and stakeholders will be able to make appointments to visit our center for safe and socially distanced meetings with their housing specialists and other DCHA staff. Learn more about our available services by visiting www.dchousing.org or by calling 202-535-1000.